from 1990 up to 1992, where he was likewise awarded as the most outstanding research fellow and served as chief fellow during his senior year at the UP-PGH Medical Center. So yay sa mga taga-UP. He was awarded the Outstanding Filipino Physician or TOFP in 2008 by the Department of Health and JCI Senate Philippines. The Outstanding Filipino for Medicine naman in the year 2010 by the JCI Senate Philippines. So that's what you always hear, yung TOEFL. So they also awarded him as the Outstanding Filipino for Medicine. He is a past president of the Philippine College of Physicians, an independent health reform advocate, and as mentioned by Professor Popo, he is with us in the Kilusang Contra COVID. Ladies and gentlemen, our chairman at the Kill COVID, please welcome our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Tony Leachon.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Dr. Tony.
I'd like, of course, to thank Attorney Goncaico for always giving a very generous introduction. I'd like also to thank Popo and the rest of the Kill COVID team. I know you're here. Perhaps hindi ko na kayo ma-mention lahat, but I know you're here. And also for taking time out this very nice Sunday afternoon. And to tell you honestly, I'm excited to present this, this slide deck. It's actually a conglomeration of some of the ideas of my friends and colleagues from the industry and certain physicians. Of course, Kill COVID is part of this. But usually, bakit ko pinangalanan to How to End the Pandemic? Siguro, ganun siguro ang burning question natin. And the only way that we can actually end the pandemic is really to go and recognize the problem. And I think ang best siguro is to benchmark this with the best practices of successful countries which have flattened the curve and what particular interventions they did or they have done in order to end the pandemic. So that is my challenging task for today. And I'd like to beg your for kind indulgence regarding the mastery of the presentation, considering some of these are actually very new slides. And this will be the first time that I will present, I think 80% of the slide deck. So my task for today is to present you the global data. And it's important that we have an environmental scan and then relate that to the Philippine COVID situation. So what is the current COVID situation? And what is this particular virus that we're dealing with? And what is the far-reaching implication of variants and its impact to the pandemic? And why I would say that vaccination would be the silver bullet to end the pandemic? Well, it's based on my benchmarking with other countries. And what best practices that we can adopt so that we can actually move forward and lead to reopening of the economy by achieving the herd immunity. And at the end of the presentation, I hope to summarize this particular presentation and then some takeaway messages as well. Well, for your information, this is one of my favorite pictures, no? Kasi it's touching kasi I was summoned by the palace 1 week before after the imposition of the ACQ. And I never had the chance to work with military generals, particularly chief of staffs, no? And to tell you honestly, though medyo hindi masaya yung aking pagkaalis doon, but I think it was really God's way of telling me to move on to another chapter to help, no? And I always believe in that kind of mga symbolism and signals. On my left is my good friend, the Secretary Ed Anyo, the DILG Secretary. Nagkaroon din siya ng COVID, no? And ended up with a heart surgery. Nagkaroon siya ng long COVID. Ang definition is actually 100 days, no? But he's back right now. And then General Delfin Lorenzana, the head of the National Action Plan, siya talaga ang big boss. Again, nagkaroon din siya ng COVID, Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, but back in harness right now. My boss at that time, Secretary Charlie Galvez, former Chief of Staff and the hero of Marawi, and right now the vaccine czar. So these guys, they're good military generals and they're tacticians, and my role is to support them. I had, very nice memories of my stint at the Camp Aguinaldo, 4 to 5 months. Now, relentless for change, ito yung naging advocacy ko. And I admire three great players in history. Ang first one is Larry Bird. I'm a friend, I'm a fan of Larry Bird, the Larry legend. So mga nabuhay no 1970s, the Boston Celtics and the LA Lakers, no? And after that, si Michael Jordan. But I really admire Kobe Bryant, of course, that he passed away. Because relentless ho siya eh. Even na magaling na siya, hindi ho siya napapagod eh. And the most important thing for me right now, considering you'll be approaching the sunset years, is to be able to try to inspire people in small ways so that they can be great in whatever they can do. Like for example, ito naman, nakakapagod din po to do nightly Facebook Live eh. But you know how much energy and time ang binibigay ko for a Facebook Live. Before I would present, I would research for 2 hours so at least. Hindi lang po basta-basta nyo yan pine-present yan eh. Kasi it will be shared by people. And I don't want to be criticized for, spreading fake news and some of misinformation because I represent the best and the brightest of the civil society leaders, so particularly kill COVID. So my idol is Kobe Bryant, and sorry for relating this, no. Now, ang pinakamahirap po sa lahat, sorry for this introduction, para malaman niyo kung saan ako nanggagaling. Ang pinakamahirap is to have the moral courage eh. Kasi ang hirap niyan, when you make an advocacy, hindi ho pare-pareho kayo ng opinion eh. But you're friends and you respect them. But having the moral courage is the first attribute of leadership. And hopefully, with moral courage, you'll be a light for others to follow. I'm not sure kung totoo to, but I believe that more than intellectual courage and physical courage, I think moral courage is more important than the two. And I'm also a movie fan. Kagabi nanood ako ng mga Harry Potter. And ito, very nice quotation for everyone. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies. Madali ho yan eh, kasi naman kunyari, during the syntax advocacy, naman mga smoking. But that's just as much to stand up to our friends because of the complexities of opinions based on their readings, their leanings, their friendship, and a lot of things. Ako naman po, doktor po ako mag-isip. Ako po ay straight lang po ako. Black is black, white is white. Wala po akong gray zone because I'm a physician. So with that, hopefully, I can move on to my next topic. Doon pa lang mahaba na po. So this is the global picture. And 157 million na po ang meron pong COVID. And the number one is the United States of America. There was a time, grabe ang death nito. Almost 7,000 a day. Nakakalunuso ang isipin doon. But right now, our interest will be focused not only from USA, because USA is considered a successful country at this point in time. Mamaya papakita ko why. So it's basically a secret in terms of strategy and leadership. From the worst country, from the country of milk and honey, imagine niyo, dami na mamatay and everything. So it's not pala about money and power. It's about science and of course leadership and governance. And then the other one is India. Ito po yung nakakaawa po. And I think we need to discuss that. And then of course Brazil, no? and so that we can help other people. Kasi the India experience can actually be extrapolated later on to the Philippine situation. So we need to understand why nag-fail ang India. Ang India, for your information, is the most populated country in the world, 1.4 billion. Densely populated. It's the seat, it's a center of excellence for drug companies. No? Imposible na hindi sila na-anticipate yun, knowing na nasa kanila yung maraming generic products. Eh. Now, this one is based on the Thomas Pueyo. Kailangan maintindihan natin ang slide. Only one slide para maintindihan ninyo what is the principle nitong curve. Kasi I will be showing a lot of curve. Eh gusto ko kayo i-introduce. No? Thomas Pueyo is a Spaniard, a social writer, a philosopher, and a great thinker. Naisip niya ho itong hammer and dance. Ang hammer and dance, ang ibig sabihin niya, lockdown and then opening the economy. And on the vertical axis, ito po, if you do nothing, ganito po ka-steep po yung rise. Right. So ganyan ho halos ang India. If you do something, magiging ganyan po, mitigation measures. Now, you only do the lockdown. I don't believe in lockdowns anymore. Tapos na ho tayo dyan eh. But there's always a need when there's an increase in the number of cases. So we need to recognize a problem, slow down the virus. That's the essence of the lockdown. Understand the causes. Pag hindi natin naintindihan, but dumadami yung cases natin, we will not be able to solve the problem. Then we need to recruit the best and brightest, not only from the government, but also in the private sector. And then, anong intervention ang gagawin natin? Anong testing and tracing? Mamaya explain natin. Establish the healthcare capacity. Now, pag okay na, usually it's about 2 months. Dapat in 2 months, you just buy time. And then after that, magdadance ka na. Ibig sabihin dadance, you can actually reopen the economy. Yan ang gustong-gusto ng economic managers. But it's always a contest between the health managers and the economic managers. Depende if you have the louder voice. Ang problema kung ang economic managers, mas malaki ang boses from the health managers. Kaya the premature opening of the business, sometimes yun po ang nagkaka-problema po tayo. So our problems are basically one, of course, yung lahat ng Pilipino hindi naman nakakasunod to the health protocols. Yan. Alam naman natin yan. Number 2 is the premature opening of the economy. Nangyayari yan. And then the arrival of the variants, which I will explain later on. So right now, we are on MECQ. And we know na it's not a full MECQ compared to last year. Now, look at the India, no? Ito yung sinasabi natin, no? This is, I think, India. Look at this, oh. Nakakapangilabot isipin. Ito yung sinasabi ko, if you do nothing, that will happen. And look at India. Their first surge was actually last August. The same time na nagkaroon ng Pilipinas. Ang Pilipinas at that time had 6,000 cases. Right? And then nag-MECQ. And they were able to control. But look at this, oh, April lang tumaas. Actually, it's April 15 because of a variant known as 1617. And then there were political sorties initiated by Prime Minister Modi. Because densely populated than India, look at this, oh. Ang average nila ngayon 400,000 cases per day. Grabe, 400,000 cases per day. Tayo 10,000 cases per day. Ang death natin ay nasa mga 100. Ang deaths ng India is 3 to 4,000 a day. Kaya this is very important at this point in time to recognize the disparity between India and of course the other countries. So India right now is the focus right now in terms of control. So as India and other countries grapple with the surge of COVID-19 cases, the world is reminded that we must all work together to save lives. And only together can we overcome this particular pandemic. And I cannot overemphasize that the COVID cases in India are rising fast, and we must together work for that. No, in fact, some of the vaccines from America are being deployed right now to India. So ito yung magiging problema natin with the Indian
Hawakan,
surge.
hawakan mo
No,
lang.
you know why it is a problem? Because after the
Sir Tony? Nawala po yung voice niyo. Thank you.
nawala po ako.
Sir, now okay na po.
You're back,
Kasi
you're back. Thank you.
ay
You're
narinig niyo po ba yung isang explanation ko prior to
Hindi, you
this?
go back to the India. The last 30 seconds.
Okay. I cannot move my slides. Yan. Okay, ito hindi niyo narinig, no?
Yeah, yan po. Yeah, that's the one to.
Yan, very important to. Kasi I heard voices po and perhaps siguro sa pagpindot nyo on to silence po yung ibang person na unmute nyo po ako. Okay? So I can hear voices po. I'm very sorry po. Ang problem ho, the vaccines are right now being deployed to India. Now, pag nangyari ito, this will also affect the deployment of vaccines from the US to the Philippines. And we know naman the best vaccines are the American vaccines, considering the efficacy and rate and their effect on the variants. So dapat ito, ang IATF as visionaries, they should be able to understand that we might not be getting the vaccines kasi matatapos na ang US by July. And in fact, 2 billion doses will be deployed also in Europe because of the second surge and also in India. So this will be a problem. But of course, syempre, as a humanitarian citizens, importante also to take care of India. So now this is the situation in the Philippines vis-a-vis the other countries. Tingnan niyo po Indonesia at the time. During the time, ito ang Philippines. Pareho lang tayo ng Indonesia. And the number of cases in Indonesia, halos pareho lang tayo. But actually, mamaya, I would like to emphasize that this started with a rapid and a massive and a comprehensive vaccine strategy. And this led actually to a downward trajectory of their cases. While tayo, sometime in March, nag-increase tayo ng cases after a quiescent period. Ito yung surge natin. And then November, December, January, okay tayo. And then suddenly, nagkatuloy tayo ng surge. When the rest of the countries in Asia are actually flattened at this point in time. Now, this was yesterday. This one is a very nice visualization of last year. You have a 4-month lockdown, and then you had here a first surge around 6,000 cases. This was the time when the medical community asked for a timeout, no? But the president only granted instead of an ECQ, an ECQ, but it led to a downward trajectory and a plateauing here. Even during the time of the holiday season, even during the time of the Nazareno, even during the time of the Valentine season and the Chinese New Year. But after that, sometime in March 6, buti na lang hindi na-implement yung MGCQ. Again, yung sinasabi ko, because we love it so much, na i-maintain muna tayo on MECQ and not MGCQ. And then after that, eto na yung nangyari sa atin. Nagkaroon ho tayo ng surge. Ang highest natin ay 15,000. And that was the time when they implemented the ECQ. Now, we are right now here, as you can see, 1,050,000. in terms of cases. This was yesterday. Now, ang gusto ko naman ituro sa inyo, I'm sure pag nanonood kayo ng aking nightly Facebook Live, I'd like you to focus on the multicolor DOH bulletin. I'd always look at the cases because the cases will actually produce yung number of deaths. Kung you have an increased number of cases, that will also lead to hospitalization. And ang definition ng full hospital is a minimum of 70%. So this is actually, we have a full hospital right now. And then this will lead to death. So the Department of Health should have, should have actually a marching order on how to reduce the number of cases. Very important yan eh. And the only way you can reduce the number of cases is basically to follow the protocol, but also to increase the number of cases. Dati yan 30, buti na lang nakikinig sila. This is actually a far cry from the previous one because we started with 25%. The normal is less than 5%. So I told them that they should actually have a testing of around 50,000 to 100,000 so that we'll be able to diagnose more patients and isolate the negative from the positive. Yun ho ang secret niyan eh. It's the testing. In other countries without vaccination, ito lang ang ginagawang testing. And so that you will reduce the cases, reduce the number of deaths, and reduce the admissions in the hospital. Kaya overwhelmed pa rin po tayo. But right now, mabagal po ang pag-respond po nila dito. I'm hoping na dapat nasa 75 to 100,000 so that we can reduce the positivity rate. Ang ibig sabihin ng positivity rate, pag nag-test ho kayo ng 51,000, ito ho yung numero. The numerator is the number of positive tests over the total number of tests. And our target is less than 5% based on the World Health Organization. This one is a beautiful slide. You can see dito po na mabagal pa rin yung mga cases natin from last year, August. But nagkaroon tayo ng surge. Imagine niyo from March 26 to April 26, almost 300,000 cases ho tayo. Samantalang the average lang monthly 50,000. So, medyo nagkamali tayo ng projections dito eh. Hindi nila na-anticipate three things, the variants and then the premature opening of the economy. Kaya in 1 month's time, 300,000 cases tayo. And that's the problem. Almost 70% ang nangyari niyan in the last 1 month of the calendar for 2021. Now this one I'd like to share with you a McKinsey report. Siguro those from the UP Econ, pag sinabi nilang McKinsey report, ibig sabihin napakagandang study yan. And then also from the corporate world lagi. And this was summarized and I'd like to share with you the slides of Mr. Mauricio Noboa. During sa corporate world namin, when I was at Pfizer, siya po yung in charge of the customer service, particularly of the Sulit card, together with Egay and some other marketing guys. So gusto niya i-summarize to for everyone. So ito ho yung worldwide data. Okay? So the worldwide data, sinabi ko na sa inyo is almost 152. And then 3.2 deaths, no? Relentless pa rin ho, I would say, no? Ang nangyayari ho sa buong mundo. Hindi pa rin ho tayo. We are seeing some silver linings in other countries, but at this point in time hindi pa masyado control. If only the countries will adopt the best practices in other area. So in the Philippines, napakita ko na yan using the data from the DOH, the first surge natin and then the second surge, the active cases natin, wala na tayo sanang active cases. Now, the active cases important because ito yung mga hawa sa atin. So, this is very important for everyone, no? Now, this one I think you should focus because the deaths are actually closer to home eh. Mga kaibigan natin, our friends, colleagues in the workforce, colleagues in the hospital, malapit eh. Kaya medyo masakit to eh. Ako, for telemedicine, I see around 50% of patients namamatay po yung asawa, mamatay po yung ang greatest po in 5, tatlo ang namatay. So ito ho yung nagiging problema, masakit po mamatayan and sudden po yan, no? Now, look at this data. The active cases nanggagaling po from this age. So you need talaga to explain this to the public kasi hindi na-explain po ng Department of Health. Sorry po kung I would mention this in the candid naman tayo and transparent. Ang cases nanggagaling sa essential workers. Now, ang fatality nanggagaling from the elderly. From 60 hanggang 80 para maintindihan ninyo. Siyempre, ang magre-recover coming from the hospital, siyempre itong mare-record natin. Ito naman ho sila because of their immunity, okay po sila. Ang problem in other countries, ang namamatay na like Germany, are actually these guys. Kasi because of the prioritization for senior citizen, bihira na na-admit. But unfortunately, our percentage ng senior citizens and those with comorbid conditions, mababa pa rin. I think less than 50% ang nababakunahan. Ang senior citizens ho natin, ladies and gentlemen, 7 million of the population. Ang nababakunahan pa lang natin, 1.7 million. 1.7 million in 2 months' time. Kaya marami hong namamatay, elderly pa rin. Now, the younger ones, of course, because of their greater immunity, hindi sila nahahawa, but they would unintentionally bring the illnesses at home. Ganun ho ang dynamics ho dito. Now, medyo nag-gaslighting din ang government eh. Sorry ho for the term, no? I think it's a psychological manipulation in order to highlight the recovery. Sa akin, hindi halagang recovery rate eh. Kasi magre-recover naman talaga yan eh. What is important is the number of active cases and the number po of deaths. Kasi ito ho yung masakit sa dibdib eh. And ang laging sasabihin ng government, mababa naman ang case fatality rate natin. Natural po. Ang ibig sabihin ng fatality rate is the number of deaths over the number of cases. Siyempre naman the whole year round stable tayo. Pero hindi nila binibilang yung absolute number of deaths the last 30 days. Ang average natin, yun ang greatest proportion. Dapat hindi natin ginagaslight yan eh. Ine-emphasize natin that the greater number of deaths naka-mark during the last 30 days natin. At na-record din ang highest number of deaths natin. But they don't emphasize that. So that mag-ingat ang mga tao na lumabas, particularly the elderly, because of this. So they will highlight the case fatality rate, which is actually wrong. Kasi that will dilute right now the whole process, considering dalawa lang naman ang surge natin eh, July and March eh. The entire 1 year, siyempre tahimik tayo and then you add up the fatality rate, mababa yan, diluted. Because yung 1 million, ang deaths lang natin ay 13,000 or 15,000. So therefore, your case fatality rate is low. But kunyari, absolute deaths every day for the last 1 month, ang laki niyan. But you don't want that in crisis situation. In reading other communication book, napaka-importante by being transparent, by being candid and open to the public so that the public can actually, work hard in order to exercise minimum health standards and adhere to the health protocols. Now, look at this particular death by breakdown. Almost 50 to 59. Look at this. You can see yung disparity makikita mo dito. Nag-i-start actually yung thousands nandito eh. Yung 40-ish. And then look at this. So ang definition natin ng senior citizen above 60. But we have comorbid conditions. Meaning to say, those with hypertension and diabetes less than 60. And look at this. More than 70% ang deaths nang gagaling dito. So for most of you, tayo in this bracket, nandito tayo. Kaya minsan, when you leave the house, your prayer is that you will be safe because of the variants. and airborne and transmission ngayon, you should be careful going out because of this situation. The younger ones are protected because they are young, and then kokonti ang comorbid conditions nila. I hope this is clear, and sana pinapaliwanag to ng Department of Health so that the senior citizens should go out there and have a vaccination. Importante. And all those comorbid conditions, those persons with comorbid conditions, you should be protected so that you will not encounter severe disease and be hospitalized. All right, I hope it's clear. And then, ang target natin, no, hindi tayo nagmi-meet ng target natin. Our target should be 50 to 100. Look at the positivity rate natin, no, double digit pa rin. Hindi natin inaayos to eh. Yun nga ho I'm sure all of you nagtuturo sa universities, ang daming professor. Wala ho tayong scorecard. Nakikita ko na lang, pasok na lang ng pasok. Walang goal na pinipresent ng Department of Health na dapat 5%. Dapat ine-emphasize that testings important. Ang baba po ng testings natin, 40,000 lang eh. And pag tinaas nyo yung testing to 100,000, which ginagawa sa Vietnam, bababa yan, I'm sure, to 5%. Pero wala hong all the reports sa IATF, nobody will mention this to the President. Oh, Mr. President, kunyari ako sa Secretary Duques, Mr. President, we're having some problems with the testing. And I would request the vaccine SAR, and then the testing SAR, no, to increase it to 200,000 eh. Hindi na-address yan eh. Hindi rin na-address na na meron ceiling cap na for the vaccine. Sinabi natin na dapat merong one price lang. Eh mahal pa rin eh. Prohibitive pa rin eh. May 15,000, may 20,000, may 5,000. If you're one de la Cruz and you're earning 800 pesos per day, how can you afford yung testings na 4,000? Kaya po yan ang problema natin. Hindi natin masosolve ang problem because we don't know how to address that. And then as a physician, nalulungkot ako kasi gigising ka na lang every day in the morning na ganyan ang positivity rate. And pag nagmi-meeting na IATF, irrelevant eh. Kasi they're not addressing the problems eh. And one of this is actually to reduce the positivity rate, which should be less than 5%. And the President, kung ano lang i-feed sa kanya, yun lang ang sasabihin niya. And then I'm not sure whether the President knows about positivity rate, reduction of cases, reduction of deaths, and reduction of hospitalization. I really don't know whether the Secretary of Health understands positivity rate, reduction of cases, the number of deaths. I don't know. Kasi if you really do understand what you're doing, just like in the clinic, then ang dami mo masasave na patients eh. So the vital signs are there, but I don't think may nagmamind ho ng mga vital signs. So therefore, kailangan natin solution. And based on the McKinsey Company report, you need to diagnose the case and through surveillance and the testing. And alam na ko naman ng profile ng celebrity, all of you are bright eh. And hopefully, i-share ko po ito sa slide na to so that you can be able to use that in your university lectures. And of course, you can actually add on to this one. Pag sinabi natin surveillance, napakadali lang yan eh. Paghahanap kung sino yung mga positive, no? And a lot of things, understanding the dynamics, sino yung mga taong dapat nating tingnan, you need stratification, testings kailangan natin, aling LGU ang mataas, aling LGU ang kulang ng testing, magagaling ba yung mga personnel na nandyan, data-centric ba sila, meron ba marunong mag-explain ng data, who's minding the store. Ang daming magagaling nagsasalita pero they're not hitting the target eh. Yun ang problema natin eh. A lot of actually, marami nagsasalita pero walang nakakaintindi kung paano explain ang data. And then ang number 2 question ko is how to reduce the new cases. Kasi napansin nyo, we're hovering 9 to 10,000 a day. My God, kung yan ho ang admission ko in the hospital, matatakot ako. Eh, siyempre, ang dami mamamatay ho nun. So, you have to identify this person. Saan nang gagaling sila? Ang contact tracing natin is virtually absent. Wala, 1:3 lang. Inamin na ho ni Mayor Magalong. Quarantine isolation natin, konti. Bakit? Kasi hindi na paghandaan. While other countries sa China, alat yan. Communities, are the communities educated, empowered? I don't know. Perhaps in Quezon City, because of the field COVID, okay tayo. Physical distancing, alam na natin yan. Pero pina-follow ba yan? Meron ba tayong scorecard yan? May traffic light ba? Personal protection, alam naman natin kaya most people cannot follow because of poverty. Wala magpambili ng mask. Tayo, siyempre, nakakabili tayo kung middle class tayo and upper class. Pero the poor, I'm sure, kung taga Baseco ka or matandang balara, yan ang magiging problema mo, hand washing. Travel restrictions, ito, pinakamahina tayo sa border control. Pinakamagaling dito would be Vietnam and other countries, New Zealand and Australia. Tayo ang pinakamahina sa border control. Pag nakita natin, the world, may mga variants. Therefore, i-earmark mo na, maglagay ka na kagad ng warning, red flag. Tayo, with the India, Diyos ko, kung hindi pa natin mag-ingay, dun pa lang, no? Sakalan tayo magko-close ng borders natin. Wala na, nakapasok na ang B117, 1351, ang B1 variant. I'm sure India baka nakapasok na rin sa atin kasi April 15 pa sila nagkakaroon ng variant eh. Diyan ho tayo mahina. And then behavioral, yan. Something that we should do. But it takes a lot of effort eh. Kaya yun yung pagpapasok natin into the curriculum and also in the HR program, napakahalaga niyan. Pero long term yon, and right now we are in crisis. Vaccines, mamaya i-discuss ko. I think very important. And health system preparedness. So again, na-discuss ko ang priority. Mamaya I will zero it because this is a McKinsey report para lang meron tayong blueprint. Now, for those of you who are teaching and those of you who are thinkers, I think we should have a blueprint. Mahirap ho magsalita pag wala ho kayong blueprint and reference eh. All right, let's now go to another one, lighter ng konti. This one is from Ian McKay, my favorite virologist from Australia. Alam nyo na master na natin itong social distancing, masking, hand hygiene, touching, and everything. I think this has been the focus of the kill COVID. And of course, I think we cannot overemphasize that this is very important, right? But the government, being the influencer and nandun yung funding, should always consider muna testings. Dito tayo nagfe-fail, testings. Ang ventilation natin, yan ang problema din natin. It will take a long time before we can actually create ventilations talaga outdoor. And I think si Attorney Dot and the board, ginagawa na kagad dyan sa celebrity. And government messaging, Diyos ko po, ito yung problem natin. Excellent! Excellent! Yun yung mga problema natin. Hindi nag-jive yung messaging ng government to the real problem on the ground, di ba? And then let's go now to the vaccine. Now, paano ba nag-a-act ang vaccine? Ano? One, it prevents infection by actively working with the body to create immunity and imitates a coronavirus, not cause infection, pero they produce T cells and B cells. God is good na merong ganito klase. And then, meron kang memory so that when the virus comes a second time, alam mo how to fight them. But it varies from the age of the person. Kung higher yung age mo, there are two segments of the population na mahina na. When you're young, that's why you need vaccination. And when you're elderly, that's why you need flu and of course, pneumonia vaccine. Coexisting condition and of course, genetics. And then you need a booster shot later on when the immunity wanes over time. Now, ganito ang pag-attack niyan. This is important because of the spike protein. Ganito po itsura ng virus na yan. They look like in the electron microscope as a crown with many jewels, no? And one of these etong spike proteins would enable them to attack the body. And number one, ina-attack dyan lungs. Kaya pag nag-difficulty of breathing, ang problema na. So it attacks through the respiratory tract divided into an upper respiratory and a lower respiratory. Kaya you have fever, you have sore throat, you have colds, your sense of smell, loss of taste. Yan ang mga symptoms. And then when you have cough and difficulty breathing, ominous sign yan that the patient might be admitted to the hospital. And therefore, dapat early ang treatment nyo kasi you don't want to attack the lungs eh. And because of its proximity to the heart, kung may coexisting condition ka, ang dami nag-heart attack, ang dami rin nag-stroke. And then eventually, it will affect the other organs like the liver and the kidneys. Kaya in 1 or 2 days, dead ka kagad because of this. Kaya dapat mabilis kang mag-action. And mutation may happen while the virus is multiplying. Kaya the virus can, God is so good na meron tayong antibodies, yung mga macrophages na tinatawag. Meron kang T cells and then you have your B cells and that would produce the antibodies and then may memory ka. That's why pagka nagkaroon ka ng measles or chickenpox and all, hindi ka na nagkakaroon. Ang chickenpox merong variation, ang tawag herpes zoster. But generally, once na nagkaroon ka na ng infection, permanent na yon. Ngayon, with this COVID virus, wala tayong sinasabi pa na you will have permanent immunity. That's why you need the vaccination and then studies are would show that you might be needing a booster, let's say after 6 months or a year, to protect you so that you'll not suffer from hospitalization and severe disease na parang siyang flu lang and you can easily bounce back and go to work later on. So para magiging common na lang siya. Like the 1918 pandemic. The 1918 pandemic, hindi alam ma-solve ang problem and then nagkaroon ng vaccine na solve yung problema natin. So this is reminiscent kung mababasa natin 20 years from now, isipin natin ano yung two greatest pandemics of all time. The 1918 pandemic and after a century, itong COVID pandemic. And then bakuna yan ang ginawa, no? So now, let's now go to another topic. Ito yung strain. Ito i-explain ko to sa inyo. The original Wuhan strain, nag-start yan December 8 of 2020. Madali ako mag-memorize eh. I had this because of association. Immaculate Conception 2020. 2019. And then, naging secretive ang Chinese, hindi nila na-reveal yan because they were actually preparing for the Chinese New Year. So, nangyari, nilihim din nila sa WHO. Nung hindi nila makontain na yung Wuhan sa Hubei province na, wala na sila magagawa. Kumalat na eh. So, they declared a public emergency na late din ang WHO to announce to the world. Yan. Na late din tayo by 2 weeks. Nakapasok na rin sa atin. But if Chinese were honest at that time, hindi sana yan naging pandemic eh, na control. Kaya China, hindi naman sa pag-aano, medyo treacherous din kasi they ended up with 80,000 and 4,000 deaths. And then in 3 months, okay na sila. Ang isang mabuting ginawa nila, I don't know if they want to dominate the world, pero sila yung kukonting cases and they're back right now. And we're all suffering right now. Pero binigay nila yung genetic code so that the pharmaceutical companies can work on the vaccine. And that's the reason why in 10 months' time, nakapag-discover sila ng vaccine. All hands on deck, they were able to find out the vaccine na kailangan natin. And then last July, last year, nagkaroon tayo ng isang strain, the D614G. And then the UK, September 2020, B117 from the United Kingdom. And then October of last year, B1351. Very important ang South African variant because this would render AstraZeneca to be ineffective pagka nag-inject sa'yo. So therefore, you might need a booster to address the variant. And then the more ferocious one is the Brazilian na nakapasok na rin sa Philippines. And then we have one exclusive to us, unique to us, P.3, ang nakadiscover Japanese. And this is the reason bakit tayo na-ban in UK and then also sa Hong Kong. And then ang Hong Kong nga, kailangan mabakunado tayo like our domestic helpers before they can actually go and serve in Hong Kong. And then US, nag-announce sila ng level 4 travel advisory that their citizens cannot go to the Philippines. Yan po ang far-reaching implication. And then this is the Indian variant. Remember, B1617. So we have 7 variants, and we have 6 variants in the Philippines. The original one, 614G, 117, South Africa, P1, and the P.3. Now, ang Indian variant is present in 17 countries. Imagine niyo yan, no? And the most sequences were uploaded from the UK, the USA, and Singapore. Now, this one is the spike protein. Pag tinignan nyo sa electron microscope. So, yan ang ginawa ng mga scientists. Ang nanguna, Pfizer, 150 years. Oh, ang Pfizer, 150 years eh. Kaya kung nandun ho tayong inyong lingkod, during the time na naghahanap po ng solution, tataya po kayo dun sa magandang bakuna based on their track record. Do you know po, ang Pfizer po ang nag-mass production po ng penicillin. Kasi na-discover po yan ng scientist na si Fleming. Hindi ho si Ian Fleming, si I think Alexander Fleming. Pero hindi ma-market ho yan. Until Pfizer po ang nag-develop yan in the 1940s, ang dami nila nasagip na tao. And penicillin, siya naging benchmark for production ho. Kaya ang dami nating antibiotics. Sana nagbasa po ang government na dapat tumaya sila dun sa magaling. Sila rin ho ang nag-launch ng produktong Lipitor, Norvas, Viagra, Lyrica, ang dami po eh. So parang tataya ho kayo sa kabayo. Doon ho kayo sa Liamado tataya, Moderna, Astra. Ngayon, since hindi nila na-realize yan, because hindi ho sila nag-work in the pharmaceutical medicine, hindi rin po sila doktor, tumaya sila sa Chinese vaccine. Kaya naalala nyo, nag-Sinopharm tayo and they did not sign the non-disclosure agreement. For 10 million doses, we should have gotten it in January. So kung nakuha natin yung 10 million doses at ang population ng NCR at 12 million, kalahati okay na tayo. But somebody dropped the ball, yun ho ang nangyari, ang storya ho niyan. So in retrospect, yan po ang problema natin. Kaya mahirap po tayong kumuha ngayon kasi everybody is in need of the vaccine. So kailangan ho i-review natin yan eh. In Manila Doctors or any other hospital in the country, we have an audit conference every month. And then the usual question is what went wrong with the patient? How did the patient die? Yan, inaaral. So that we can actually teach yung aming mga residents so that there will be no repetition of that mistake, so that you will not perpetuate an error. And then ang question, what would go wrong? So that naiisip natin. So ganito lang naman yan kasimple. So different companies would use different platforms. So of course, ang pinaka-common ay yung inactivated one. Okay? Pero nag-develop po sila ng bago. Ito yan, mRNA. Because the virus is wily. So you need a synthetic version para hindi. And then the viral vector. Now, i-explain ko sa inyo mamaya because these are new technology. Dalawa lang ho ang nag-RNA, that is Pfizer and Moderna. The viral vector, Astra, and then Johnson & Johnson, and then Gamaleya. Now, itong viral vector, common ho ang side effect nito na thrombosis. Pero Astra ho ang tinay kong bakuna. Mamaya explain ko sa inyo na that will not be a problem, no? Okay, para hindi kayo matakot. But you need to understand ho kasi the pathophysiology. Now, nung inimbento yan, alam na alam ni Ega yan because nasa marketing. So I worked for 20 years in the pharmaceutical, FYI. Ayoko may conflict of interest. I retired in 2010. When my sister died in 2010, nalungkot ako because I was working so hard. Hindi ko nagamot ang sister ko, may liver cirrhosis. So sabi ko, I will dedicate my life to you, my dear sister. Si Marita, she died at age 48. So after that, I retired from the corporate world. Pero kahit ito pabalik-balik na rin ho yan, di ako mag-aral to present in Senate and Congress. This is half of my life eh. Itong ginagawa ko eh. Punta ako ng New York, punta ako ng Michigan to develop products with the scientists. Kaya alam na alam ko po yan. So usually, in order to produce a blockbuster, you need $1 billion so eh, para ho makapag-invest. So nag-contest yung preclinical, 154 sila nag-contest. And then you go to phase 1, healthy young individuals, mga 100 persons. And then you go to phase 2, a broader group of people, mga 300. Color-coded po yan. Kung ano yan, mRNA, viral vector, protein-based. Natapos yan, 10 candidates na launch into the market. 2 mRNA, 3 viral vector, o the rest yan. So ganyan ho ang pag-imbento niyan. Okay? Now, so let's focus on the spike protein para maintindihan ninyo paano kayo pinapasok nito. Alright, so ganyan ho itsura ng virus. Kaya ho siya parang The Crown, no? Napanood nyo na po ba ang The Crown ni Queen Elizabeth, no? So ganyan itsura niyan. So napakasimple lang ho ang coronavirus vaccine. We will use 3 platforms lang. Yung Sinovac, yun ang yung parang mga vaccines na ginagamit natin, protein-based, yung spike protein nila is purified, nililinis, injected, that will trigger to produce the antibody. Napakasimple. The viral vector, ito number 2, the spike protein gene is again purified, pasok ka ng adenoviral vector, injected, produces the spike protein inside the body, and then produce the antibodies to protect you. And then the RMA, this is the Moderna and the Pfizer, and that code, the code, no? Spike purified and injected, produces the spike protein, right? Konti lang siya to produce the antibody. Napakasimple lang po ng bakuna. Now, ngayon, paano nyo malalaman ang pinakamagaling dyan? Yan. Doon lumalabas na efficacy. Alright. So, ang role ng bakuna is to produce antibodies to destroy the COVID virus. So, safe po to sa matanda kasi si Margaret Keenan, 91 years old. And then, the first vaccinee using Pfizer yan. And then, Filipino nurse May Parsons did it December 8. Again, December 8, Immaculate Conception. No? Doon po ako devotee po ako ni Mama Mary. Kaya lagi ko natatandaan yung date na yan. Ano? So, 25 years nag-work si May Parsons sa Ministry of Health in UK. Now, safe yan sa matanda kasi 91 years old And then Prince Philip nga, before he died of cardiovascular disease, nagpa-inject pa. And of course, Queen Elizabeth, the Pope. So safe talaga ang bakuna even in the elderly. Kaya lang pinipili mo kung sinong bibigyan mo. Let's now go right now to the different vaccines in the market. Pfizer, 95% efficacy rate. Moderna, 94%. AstraZeneca, 62 to 92%. Sinovac, 50% to 90%. Gamaleya, 91%. Johnson & Johnson, 70%. Novavax, 70%. Alright. Pfizer, mRNA sila at Moderna. 2 doses. AstraZeneca, kapareho siya ng, look at this, adenovirus, adenovirus, adenovirus. So silang lahat, meron silang common side effect, which is thrombosis. 2 doses sila except for the Johnson & Johnson. Ngayon, scratch na natin yung efficacy rate. Hindi mahalaga yan. Any vaccine is important because all of the vaccine can protect you from severe disease and hospitalization. Yan ang importante. Kaya hindi ko nalilalagay efficacy rate. Whatever vaccine that we have right now, whether Sinovac or Astra, ang purpose mo is to protect you from severe disease and from hospitalization. Okay? So it's clear, no? Ang problema, we have EUA for Pfizer. Wala tayo. Kawawa naman tayo. Moderna, nag-apply na. Through Swilig, wala pa rin tayo. Right? Astra, naubusan tayo. And I'm not sure kung makakapag-produce kasi the whole world, ang Brexit and even Europe, kailangan sila. Nagdemanda nga ang Brexit because hindi nila ma-produce yung supply in the second surge. That's why Pfizer nagbibigyan ng 2 billion doses for Europe Sinovac, ito yung storya, marami tayo, pero we're actually in a problem because of the Western Philippine Sea. Now, pag hindi naman natin in-address ang Western Philippine Sea, may problema naman tayo, baka hindi tayo bigyan ng Sinovac. Yan yung political and diplomatic problem natin eh. So pag hindi ho tayo nakipag-agree with sorry ho, tayo lang naman dito eh, na magkakaibigan naman tayo. Kaya lang ho, na-hostage tayo. Pag hindi ho tayo kumampi sa China, baka wala tayong bakuna ho dito. And then Gamaleya, bagong nadating, 15,000 lang. Ang konti po eh. Kasi ito ho magagaling na sanay ho ito eh. Ang tawag namin ni Egay dyan at ng mga marketing guys, track record. Kaya ba niya mag-produce? Kunyari, may supplier, kunyari si Attorney Dot. At ang gusto niya, let's say, supplier for the um, for Christmas, hindi kayang i-produce ng Gamaleya lahat yan at Sinovac. Kaya ito, kayang-kayang i-produce kasi ang laking kumpanya. Di ba? So, ayaw mo naman mapahiya, let's say Attorney Dot, o order ng Christmas decorations, tapos at the time, hindi mapuproduce. Very important yan eh. Kaya, it's in the selection process eh. Now, eto ngayon, gusto kong isettle once and for all itong issue to. Binan ng konti at the time ang AstraZeneca ako. Pero bihira nakakaalam. Look at this na it can cause blood clots pag may COVID ka 165,000. Kaya ang dami na i-stroke, heart attack pagka nagkakaroon ka ng COVID. But look at AstraZeneca, 4 cases in a million. Mas madami pa nga ang birth control pills eh. Kasi pinapalapot ito ang dugo and then smoking. So in essence, ang baba-baba lang yung percentage of the blood. So, gagamitin mo. Kasi the benefits will outweigh the risk. Now, nag-survey ngayon. Ito importante, March 26. Ang malungkot dito, kahit may bakuna, out of the survey, 6 out of 10 ayaw magpabakuna. Yan ang problema. So, kahit dumating ang bakuna, so dapat sinabayan yan ng educational campaign. And according to the Pulse ACES survey, ito, tinwitter ko to, today, 6 in 10. At ito ang mga reason put forward, no? Alam mo, laging safety ang concern, no? 84%. Dapat yan, ina-address yan, eh. Kung magpapa-inject ang president and several influencers na safe siya, madaming magpapayag, eh. Masasayang yan, mapapanis yung vaccines kasi meron lang siyang dapat na shelf life eh. Hindi ka pwedeng sumobra ng 3 to 6 months yan kasi masasayang. And the vaccine might not be effective. So inahanap nila yung gusto nilang vaccine eh. And then, of course, may vaccine is not needed to combat. Ito yung mga marami. At ang pinakamatindi, it's higher in the area na meron kang cases, the business epicenter, kung saan pa naman mataas yung level of education, 'di ba? The irony, yung ayaw pumayag is basically in the area most affected. Kaya kung hindi nakikita to ng government, this particular data, magkakaroon tayo ng problema. We might end up with a lot of vaccines, tapos mabubulok lang sila sa warehouses nila. So there must be a solution on how to do that. Tapos kailangan ipaliwanag mo. Look at this, imaginein mo yung side effect mo sa inyo na nakapagbakuna. Wala naman eh. Natatakot tayo pero self-limiting eh. And it's common. The side effects are basically a sign that the vaccine is working. And this will pass after 24 to 48 hours. So ang daming natatakot eh. Akala nila baka mamatay ako, ganyan. So kailangan i-allay mo yung anxiety. Kaya ang dami mong clearances right now. Now, dun sa hindi nagbakuna, kasi ang Australia at New Zealand, I must tell you, hindi pa sila nagbabakuna masyado. Because hindi sila kasing yaman. Wala silang pharmaceutical companies. Mayaman sila but they don't have the pharmaceutical companies. Pero because of science, meron silang free travel, quarantine-free travel. Ang galing, no? Science alone, testing, contact tracing, isolation and quarantine. Look at this, ang galing-galing ng New Zealand, no? New Zealand, look at this. Flat ang curve nila. You see that? Hindi yan sa palakihan, no? It's ng country. It's the discipline. Look at this naman. This is Australia. April to. Flat. Flat. Galing. Walang bakuna masyado. Galing. Discipline. Oh, ngayon, lumabas yung study about Moderna and the mRNA. Pag pala na-injectionan ka ng Moderna, the antibodies will last for 6 months. Eh. Kaya ang daming gusto nito na produkto. So after my Pfizer, after my Astra dose, I hope after 1 year, ito yung gusto kong booster dose kasi this can um, address the variants. I'm not promoting, no? I'm just trying to read this and then coach you on what to order later on. Ha? Sinasabi ko lang po yan. At yan, ito, look at this, April 6 and April 15. Bagong-bago. Ngayon lang, May 2 eh. So that's nice. Ang problema, sana may supply tayo, no? Now, look at naman the Philippines. Ito yung data natin. Ito niya naman ang data natin, no? Compared mo naman sa Australia. Oh, ito April 30. Oh, tingnan niyo ang data natin, nasa surge tayo. Kawawa naman tayo. Wala na tayong bakuna, di pa tayo disiplinado. Sana disiplinado tayo kahit walang bakuna, then pareho tayo ng Australia at New Zealand. Sorry po, I'm just trying to be practical, realistic, no. So ang dapat natin gagawin ay mass testing. Ang problema, hindi na intindihan ng government ang definition ng mass testing. It is not testing the entire population. It's only 10 to 20% of the nation's population. So ibig sabihin, you must be testing in 1 year 10 million to 20 million. Ang achievement natin 1 year ay 8 million lang. Kaya hindi tayo makapag-diagnose. Wrong diagnosis, wrong treatment. Ngayon, ano ang balakid or obstacle to testing? Alam niyo kung ano? Pera. Pinagperahan po yan sa tingin ko eh. Kasi bakit hanggang ngayon meron ceiling na sumisingil pa ng mahal, 15,000. Akala ko ba merong price cap o ba't hindi nasusunod? Yan o ang concern ko. In other countries, libre ang testing. Dapat sinasagot ho yan eh. Hindi tayo. We will never be, successful kung ang testing natin ay hindi natin magagawa. Contact tracing na nga failure, ang pag-asa na lang natin ay testing. Yan. Now, there are 4 pillars to control COVID. Number 1 is testing. Sino ang infected? Yan. Tracing, who are those in contact with infected? Yan, ginagawa natin yan. Isolate those infected and then quarantine. Ito, may pagkukulang tayo rito kasi hindi tayo naka-build na maraming field hospitals so that those patients that cannot enter the main hospital, meron tayong paglalagakan. Kaya they die in their homes eh. Kasi wala nagmamanage doon. Kahit ba naman magreseta ka ng gamot, hindi naman mga doktor yung mga kapamilya nila. Kaya they die in their homes. So dapat, tumulad tayo in other countries like alam niyo po ba in Vietnam, kaya nila mag-house ng 1 million people. Ganyan ho sila katindi ho doon. Marami ho silang hotel, stadium, gymnasium, yan. Tayo ang dami eh. We have the Philippine Arena. We have yung Sight and Sia Games. We have the Rizal. We have the Ultra. Hindi natin kino-convert yan into hospitals. May solution eh. So they die in their homes rather than in the field hospitals na ginagawa natin. Now, ito hindi pa rin nasasagot. No? Alam niyo po ba last year, ang COVID was only number 7 in the top killers of the country. Ang daming namatay because of heart attack, cancer na advanced, stroke, diabetes. Kasi they were not able to see their doctors. Hindi na-adjust yung medications nila, wala nang refill, namin namatay. So akala lang natin COVID, no? Hindi po, 100,000 namatay heart attack. Ang dami namatay na advanced cancer na, may malaking bukol, di makapunta sa ospital, they die. Yan ang nangyayari. Dami na stroke. So therefore, we should identify COVID hospitals so that doon lang sila pupunta. Hindi alam, ang hospital kasi na-divide into COVID and non-COVID. Matatakot ka to go to the hospital kasi baka mahawa ka eh. Na kung sasabihin mo, this is a COVID-free hospital, then you can go right now for check-up for ischemic heart disease. Dapat yun din ang iniisip nila eh. So you have to expand the COVID hospitals. COVID lang siya para and then declare this hospital as a this hospital, X hospital, is a COVID-free hospital. So therefore, all of those with ischemic heart disease, cancer, stroke, pwede na kayong pumunta without any fear that you will have COVID. Yan ang problema ho natin. Kaya we have a double pandemic right now. You have a COVID pandemic and you have a non-COVID pandemic. Yan ho ang problema. So there is COVIDization of the healthcare system. Napapabayaan nating mamatay yung mga patients natin na walang pupuntahan. Kaya namamatay sila, not because of COVID. They die of natural causes, kaya lang, they could not go to the hospital. And a lot of patients also, yan, ang dami, oh, even after COVID. Yan, oh, meron pa rin silang fatigue, may cough, may muscle pain, kasi hindi nakakapag-check up sa doktor. So kunyari, nakapunta sila, ito is the long COVID. Eh di napupuntahan nila ang doktor nila para hindi sila natatakot. So may fatigue. After na gumaling, imagine niyo may fatigue, may cough, may headache. Ang dami niyan na hindi na-address. So what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, for every problem, there is a solution. Ang problem lang natin, we don't recognize the problem. Kaya wala tayong solution. So ngayon, I'd like to quote si Immanuel Kant. Do the right thing because it is right. Yan ang tamang gagawin natin. But ganun ba ang mindset ng ating decision makers? Alam nyo, for those countries na nag-obey, Vietnam, China, many countries fared well in both metrics. Kaya okay sila, South Korea, Indonesia, New Zealand, okay sila. Alright? Now, those countries na pasaway, US, Chile, Brazil, andito sila. More deaths and kada. So, ibig sabihin, proven na yan. Now, those who which adhere to science, New Zealand, China, yan, okay sila. Yung mga pasaway, before, eto sila. So, proven na dapat science-based tayo. Ayan. Now, ang tingin ko, lahat kay leaders right now, studies have found that when leaders, isang book po yan, Leadership Challenge, no? Na I have three versions niyan or editions, no? Ang problema, nakikita nyo ba whether the leaders model the way when they speak? Do you see our leaders inspiring a shared vision when they speak? Do you see your leaders challenging the status quo? Bihira lahat naduduwag Kasi if you talk against the opinion of the government, akala nila anti-government ka. Hindi you're challenging the status quo And minsan tinatanong ko sa sarili ko yan And kasi, hindi naman ako anti-government. Hindi naman ako, I'm just trying to say na kailangan natin is to challenge the process Do we enable others to act? Do we motivate our people when we talk Apparently wala And kaya demotivated and demoralized ang other country kasi it's about leadership And tinan mo tong successful countries. Israel, first dose, 58%. Wag kayong kukurap do not blink This is the book by Malcolm Gladwell. Wag kayong kukurap in the next slides because this is important. Look at Israel, 58%. UK with Astra vaccine and Pfizer, and US 43. Look at their cases and their hospitalizations and deaths. From Eric Topol, one of the brilliant scientists of our times, no? Look at the data pag 2 doses ka, vaccination, first dose, second dose. Look at the number of cases nila So therefore, vaccination is the key to success. And that is Israel, UK, US. UK dati, dami namamatay dyan US, ganun din. And I can see my classmates in the US right now. They're, enjoying their time in New York. Wala na nga mask yung iba sa Florida. Nakakaingit di ba? So sabi ko, ba't hindi natin magawa yan, Israel na lang, 10 million. NCR, 10 million. Look at the data. So, na-quote ako niyan April 22. The Philippines should copy Israel vaccination process. Why? Focus on the NCR. Kasi ang Israel, 10 million. Ang NCR, 12 million. O 50% man lang yan, mabakunahan mo. Eh, mababakunahan lang natin 1.7, scattered pa. So target mo, let's say 6 million. Hindi mahirap gawin. 6 million. Then you can reopen the economy. So look at Israel. Grabe itong Israel. Oh. August 8, meron sila. January, sila the highest country per capita. Ang dami ng cases nila. 8,000 parang tayo. Nagbakuna sila January. Nasa na sila ngayon? Wow. Magical. And then, hindi na kailangan nila magmask. No longer required outdoors. All schools open in Israel. Nag-i-enjoy na sila ngayon. Oh, very nice. Israel, look at this. Oh, new data to, April 30. I'm not here to present data na hindi bago. I don't want to disappoint you guys. May 2 ngayon, April 30. Look at them, oh. January, oh. Ayan. Flat yung curve. Flat ang curve, eh. It's leadership and governance and strategy. Yun ang galing, eh. Oh, punta tayo sa United Kingdom. Oh, para walang bolahan, April 30. Look at this. Flat. Diba? All right. Oh, Joe Biden, leader, December 21. Oh, in 100 days niya, 100 million doses. By the end of May, Joe Biden will secure enough doses to vaccinate all Americans. And he declared the 4th of July as a celebration because they will reach herd immunity by July 19. 6 months. 6 months. 300 million population. Focus. Strategy. Medical advisors niya. 12. Look at the United States. April 30. Look at this. Galing. I mean, kakaiba eh. It's just planning. Oh. Imagine mo from number 1 ka in terms of deaths and cases. Flat ka. So, Philippines, this is the largest and the most complex public health effort in the history of the Philippines. Surely it will benefit the poor and the most vulnerable. But look at our comparison natin sa Asia. Okay? Ang problem natin is our active cases. Ang problem natin is our malaki naman itong Indonesia, 300 million yan eh. Ito tayo 100 million. But our problem here is the new cases natin. Ang new cases natin, mas marami sa Indonesia, 300 million, tayo 100 million. We have new cases na pagmumula ng number of deaths. Look at the other countries na mas maliit sa atin. Look at Vietnam. Oh. Myanmar, may gera pa yan ang Myanmar. Walang death sa Myanmar. So this is benchmarking eh. And I'm sorry to say, nakaka-disappoint eh. This is April 30. So dapat ganito kalinaw dapat ang ating presentation. Kasi ang problema natin, we present on the administered dose. Kaya tayo number 4. Hindi dapat on the administered dose based on the percentage of population na nabakunahan. So we're here. Actually, second to the last tayo. Ang Singapore, based on the percentage of population to reach herd immunity. Ganun dapat ang pag-compare. Kasi we should compare ourselves with the best countries and not with the worst countries in order to make and feel ourselves better or to feel better about ourselves. Hindi ganun ho ang pagpa-benchmark. You benchmark with the best of the best and not with the worst. Hindi ho tayo mag-i-improve nun. So, Singapore. Look at Singapore. October pa lang, flat na ho yung curve nila. And they got our Pfizer vaccines. Nakuha nila. Tingnan nyo ho. Even without the vaccines, flat na ho sila eh. Look at the dates. No? That's Singapore. Vietnam. Look at Vietnam. Mas mahirap pa sa atin to. Almost the same population tayo. Nakita nyo ba nag-increase? Wala pa ho masyadong bakuna yan. So, what I'm trying to say is comparing other countries also. So you're saying Pfizer vaccine was used in Israel. Okay, come on. How about Joko Widodo? 59 years old. They use Sinovac and of course Astra. Mataas din sila before January. Look at Indonesia at this point in time. Tayo papaganon, sila pababa. Oh. So what I'm saying is about strategy, leadership. Oh, sino ngayon ang babakunahan? Okay, the healthcare workers. Pero apparently hindi pa pala kompleto ang healthcare workers eh. And sad to say, hindi sila 100%. Ang senior citizen again hindi pa rin eh. Hindi kompleto eh. Ang older with comorbid condition, kokonti pa rin eh. So, long way to go tayo kasi 1.7 million doses lang tayo. And very slow at this point in time. Eh. So, ngayon, frontline workers, hindi kompleto. Ang senior citizen, I'm not sure kung everyone, no? Dapat meron siyang scorecard. How many of the frontline workers? How many of the senior citizens are na-inject in the epicenter? Those with comorbid condition, essential workers, important to so that we can open the economy. Now, ito yung A1, ang A4, nahati yan, no? You know kung nasaan ho kayo. I'm just trying to say na how can we actually proceed to open the economy when the essential workers are not vaccinated? Yan ang ginawa nila sa Indonesia to open the economy. Inuna nila essential workers nila. Pero marami lang supply, sabay-sabay. Pero ang ginawa nila to open the economy, they vaccinated the essential workers. Now, ang inyong lingkod ay nagpabakuna March 11. My second dose would be May 6. Ang problema ko wala yatang supply of the AstraZeneca dose. I'm okay lang. Talagang ganun. And that's life, no? But I'm happy at least 80% may effect na sa akin. And may risk, but I need a booster dose later on. Now, according to Secretary Galvez, the pandemic will not solve itself. That's true. So lahat tayo dapat will adhere to the protocol. So our behavior dapat kasi nagawa ng Australia, New Zealand. Agree ako naman dyan. Ngayon, sabi ni Secretary Galvez, by June, we expect to accelerate the vaccination, increasing the supply to 9 to 10 million per month. Ang problem ko lang dyan is the execution eh. Kasi we don't have much warehouses eh. And then mag-isa lang si Secretary Galvez eh. He needs a vaccine response team with marketing, sales, distribution, logistics, data analytics and everything. Mag-isa lang ho siya eh. And I don't think he can launch pagka ganito by the end of 2021. 1.7 million with 8 months to go, I don't think it will be a reality. Yeah, that's my projection. For the second quarter, 4 million doses of vaccines. Ang hirap nito in terms of execution. So it's difficult. Yesterday, dumating ho yung Sputnik. Akala ko naman napakarami. 15,000 doses lang. Saan makakaabot yan? Divide by 2. 7,000 people lang ho yan. So, you know, you need to look at the numbers eh. Pagka sabi, uy, dumating na ang Sputnik. Kala mo, ang dami, no? Again, 7,000 people lang po yan. Saan makakaabot po yun? That's the problem we're facing. We might be procuring a lot of vaccines, but this may not be enough for the entire. Because we need to vaccinate 75% of the population. So you look at this. This is the infected population. But you need about 50% to 75% na vaccinated. Right? And let's say Manila, 80% of 12 million, mga 8 million yan. Ang dali-dali nun eh. Murder ka lang ng 8 million and then execute that. Kayang gawin eh. According to Secretary Galvez, ang dream niya is to have herd immunity by the end of the year. I don't think it will be possible with the current logistics problem that we're facing. So ito yung recommendation. Ito ay galing, let's say, from my colleagues, si Mau, si Egay, and then si Ricky. Ito yung mga suggestions, no? And I hope, hindi ko pa nga na-PowerPoint siya kasi fresh siya. Add 5,000 more small vaccination sites that can do 100 doses per day so that you accomplish 500,000 doses per day. So that in 24 days, we can finish 12 million. Right? O, kaya ba yan? Of course, kaya. Basta't may planning ka lang. Now, focus the mega sites like schools, malls, and stadiums to the second dose requirement. Since the ones going there, meron ng level of immunity. Hindi ang ngayon, ang problema, do sa mega sites, ang tagal ng hintayan mo. Kaya ang dami nagkaka-super spreader. Ang daming COVID, nagkakaroon ng COVID. Because the mega sites are dangerous as they can be super spreaders. It would be best to assign people there with some level of immunity. Ang tagal minsan 8 hours ang hintayan. Now, we should limit the 5,000 sites to 100 vaccinations a day to limit the size of the crowd and decentralize the process. In America, ginagawa nila yan sa mga Watsons, sa CVS, and then pwede, along the highway, pwede kang drive-through ka mag-vaccination. At the same time, pwede ka rin mag-testing. Now, we are preparing the small size for the booster vaccination that will happen on a yearly basis. We can't expect the mega sites na kasi by the time they will use that for their customers when they're open the malls. Allow the private sector to vaccinate in their workplace. And then with the DOAs or the LGU there. And then we need, of course, yung younger population natin na the next batches kasi ito yung working class. Expand the drive-through using vacant parking lots and parks. Ito, kailangan natin to, yung ating ginagawa sa Kill COVID and then sa HR. We need to do this as soon as possible. And then use actors or internet. I think may planos Attorney Dot on this aspect. And then implement a vaccine passport or ID so that when you go to establishment, you can show the ID. Oh, bakunado na ako. Oh, so you have right now a passport so that you can enter the establishment, di ba? So it will eventually be a requirement for us to be vaccinated to travel overseas. Kasi ngayon, ang headline, ito po, domestic helpers, nakalagay ho, domestic helpers alarmed by compulsory Hong Kong vaccine plan. So bago pumasok ang DHO sa Hong Kong, dapat bakunado na sila. So ito ang future that's why some of my patients galing abroad, naka-attach sa kanilang passport na Moderna sila, nakalagay yan. So kung wala tayo diyan, hindi tayo makaka-travel abroad. Yan ho ang magiging problema natin. So a well-implemented rapid vaccination program will lead to herd immunity, reopening of the economy, and normal lives like Israel. But we need a scorecard or a dashboard or a Gantt chart to monitor the process. Now, the economy will never recover as long as the virus is not controlled. And if we don't understand that, then we are part of the problem. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, it's a blessing from the Lord that we have safe and efficacious vaccines. We should all be vaccinated, not only to protect our families, our co-workers, but the elderly and the vulnerable. So we need to vaccinate 70% of the population. Wag muna yung entire population because the peripheral areas with less cases naman. I think we should focus on the NCR, the Region 4A, and Region 3. Ito yung epicenter. And with herd immunity, we'll be able to reopen the economy and bring back our lives to normalcy. Ito na magiging future, I tell you, because meron akong patient, sayang pala na ipakita ko sa inyo. One from Indiana, no? Naka-attach doon, Moderna passport. Moderna siya, ang kanyang passport, nandun yung kanyang immunity passport. So, the Philippines will be isolated from the rest of the world. Kawawa tayo. Tourists will hesitate to come and international business will not travel. Filipinos, hindi na tayo makakapag-leisure travel. Yan pa naman ang gusto natin. Pag nakaipon tayo, Christmas or Holy Week, napaka-importante. Our competitiveness ranking in the rest of the world will actually shrink. Because poorer countries, mas magaling kesa sa atin. Yan ang magiging problema natin. Now, how do you get out of the pandemic? Ang problema natin is like this. Most of us would like the simple but the wrong one. Kaya nahuhulog po tayo. While yung masking, importante yan, maraming pasaway. Distancing, maraming pasaway. The DOTR, binabawasan pa nga dati From 1 meter, ginagawang 0.75 to 0.5. Saka naman nakakita nun. IATF member yon. Nakakatawa yun. And then the vaccines, kukonti tayo. Complex siya, no? But this is the right one. This is the road not taken, di ba? Yan ang problema natin. The road not taken is the right road. Now, this one is my idol, si Jacinta Ardern. Ewan ko ba, masyado akong fascinated with this woman. 38 years old eh. And during one economic forum in January, do you want to be a leader that looks back in time and say that you were on the wrong side of the argument when the world was crying out for a solution? Diba? And even matatalinong tao ang problema eh. So we can make a choice to live a social responsible citizen or descend into anarchy. We can make a choice to follow or break the rules. We can make a choice to be right or wrong. Pero alam mo, it's not our abilities pala or our talent or skills or the level of education eh. It is about our choices eh. Which will actually show what particular character that we have eh. It's our choices. Kaya matalino ka o mahina ang ulo mo, it is your choices. So yun pong last slide ko and thank you for listening. And I'm sorry for that very lengthy presentation. Maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Maraming salamat, Doc Tony. It wasn't lengthy. It was actually very fascinating. And we have a lot of questions, but we'll let you take a rest because you did a really long, no? And in the meantime, I'm going to ask Miss Ana Mauricio, our executive assistant to the GM, to read a couple of club announcements para maka-take 5 ka lang ng a bit, Doc Tony. Ana?
Yes, Ma'am Matek, thank you po. So, Celebrity Club is open. So, for the information of our audience, the membership office and cashier and billing office are open 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesdays to Sundays, and 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. for our swimming pool and outdoor gym, Tuesdays to Thursdays, and 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays to Sundays. So for reservations, do call our sports counter to reserve your preferred time slot at 8951-3333, local 135. For your food cravings, Celebrity Via Mare is open as well. 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays for both dine-in and take-out. And then 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays to Sundays, dine-in and take-out as well. Now you can also order online and you can see a link on your screen as well as a QR code. And you may also call our banquet office at 8952-0465. That's the direct line. And 8951-3333, locals 140 or 141 for your inquiries regarding Via Mare orders or any banquet-related orders. Celebrity Via Mare is offering a Mother's Day special promo for May 8 and May 9. So there's a free cassava bibingka slice for our nanays for every order worth 1,500. So once again, you may call our banquet office for further inquiries and orders. Likewise, Cafe Perrin is also offering Mother's Day promos. So you can avail of heart cakes, rose heart cakes for only $9.50. So that's a cake and bouquet in one. You can order online using the link below or scan the QR code. And for inquiries, again, you can call the banquet office. Our barber shop and salon is also open 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesdays to Sundays. For appointments, you can call 8951-3333, local 219. Now, we'd also like to share with the audience that last April 24, the club, led by its president, Attorney Dotgan Kaiko, and general manager, Arturo Tibay, as well as committee members and donors, June Banaria, Henrico, John Estioco, and Mon Goroste, and club officers employees distributed 3 to 4 bags of donated goods to our employees, ball boys, trainers, and security guards who are in direst need. So we would like to take this opportunity to thank all our generous donors for sharing their blessings with the community pantries a Celebrity. Kudos to all of you and may your tribe grow. The community pantries a Celebrity is still open for your donations. For more information, please call Ms. Ivy at 0917-325-5288. Thank you, and may the Bayanihan spirit remain with all of us forever. So we would just like to quickly flash the list of our donors. Thank you very much to all of the donors. And finally, we'd like to invite you for another webinar next Saturday, May 8th, Saturday, 3 p.m. The title is Ivermectin, to take or not to take? That is the question. This will be conducted by Dr. Iggy Agbayani, President of the CDC Philippines. So for reservations, do call Ms. Carol at 0917, registration I mean, 0917-884-4593. Or you may just use the Zoom ID that you see below. And we'll also be posting the link in our Viber and FB pages. So that's it. Back to you, Ms. Matek.
Thank you, Anna. Now, before we go to our Q&A, the much-awaited Q&A, another 2 minutes, Doc Tony, pahinga pa ng konti, okay? May we call on our General Manager, Mr. Arturo Tibay, to award and read the virtual certificate. GM Art?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Before I do that, I'd like to address this to Doc Tony. We are very lucky to have you speak before us, Doc Tony. You, in these trying times, competently and courageously continue to impart and portray the true and realistic pictures we are presently experiencing. Thank you for that very informative and enlightening talk you just delivered. I am sure our audience feel the same way. In this regard, please allow me to award you this certificate of appreciation from Celebrity Club. Uh, this certificate is awarded to Dr. Anthony Leachon in recognition of his invaluable contribution as an esteemed member of the medical profession to the Celebrity Club community and their friends in the How to End the Philippine COVID Pandemic webinar, given this second day of May 2021 by Celebrity Club at Capitol Hills Drive, Diliman, Quezon City, signed by the General Manager, yours truly, Artibay, and our very hardworking President, Attorney Dot Bigan Kaiko. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, GM Art. And thank you, Doc Tony. Now we'll go to our Q&A, and may I invite back my partner in crime, Popo, and our hardworking President, Attorney Dot, to join us in the Q&A. Okay. Can I start off the first question? Please. Okay. There's a question from James. What is the testing capacity of our testing facilities versus how many do we need to test daily? Doc Tony, pa-unmute yan. Thank you. Please unmute. Thank you.
Okay. Our testing capacities right now, I think, is not well, I would say, well understood by most people. I think it should be focused on the hotspot areas. Kung lahat kasi i-open natin, talagang hindi ganun eh. So, dapat dyan, concentrated in the hotspots eh. And therefore, madali naman yan if you have the satellite map eh. So, concentrate your testing centers and as well as the testing kits in the areas with higher index cases. That's important. And you need to do based on calculation. Yun ang sinabi ko sa inyo. 20 million a year, but hindi natin nare-reach yan eh. But ang advice ko lang, na-compute ko na ho yan. For the NCR area, we need to do at least 75,000 testings in order to reduce the positivity rate. I don't think we're doing that because of the prohibitive cost of the testings. Dapat yan, I think the Bayanihan budget should be, allocated much on the testings and the bakuna. Yan ang dapat natin pagkagastusan. Ang nangyari kasi, napunta sa ayuda and all. And okay naman yung mag-ayuda ka eh. But ang problema mo, you can never reduce the number of cases if you will not be able to diagnose and then to do the vaccination. So, ang requirement natin per day should be 75 to 100,000. We're not really reducing the number of cases. Napansin nyo, nakita nyo naman, naka 3 weeks na tayo. We're still right now 9,000 to 10,000 cases kasi hindi nila nasasapul yung solution to the problem. So we need to increase the number of testing areas at saka dapat libre na to para anytime, like in the US, every week ka nagtetest yung iba eh. According to some of my friends or patients. Parang laro na lang sa kanila eh. They will go to a site and then they will open the windows, bibigay sa kanila yung kit, gagawin nila in about a few minutes lang. Bibigay nila doon, in 2 hours, ite-text or email, o negative ako. Kung positive ka, i-report ka, tatawagan ka. Then you will go to an isolation area. That's the way to do it eh. Tayo, kaya ang problema natin, hindi nire-report din ng testing center natin na positive ka. It should be the responsibility of the testing center to report that to the Department of Health. Eh lihim eh. Pag naabot ka, pwedeng mo hindi sabihin, dapat mandatory para malaman mo so that maire-report mo rin to your workplace na positive ka. So it's your responsibility. Kaya lagi ko sinasabi, you should be responsible citizen to report that to your office and then ikaw din so that ma-contact tracings mo ang workplace mo, colleagues, and also your family. And we're not doing that. Kaya hindi clear eh. So every day, you will see the Department of Health, magsasabi sila ng data. What now? Ay, anong solusyon? Ganun na lang. Padami na padami. There's no solution eh. There's always this particular bulletin at 4 o'clock. Pero wala kang plan of action for that. Kaya ganun pa rin tayo. So it's depressing and I don't see a silver lining. If we will do the same things over and over again, wala, and expecting different result, wala. And according to Albert Einstein, it is called insanity. So we cannot actually be successful kung ganyan na magiging. Proven na in other countries when you do testings like Australia, New Zealand, flat nila yung curve nila even without the benefit of vaccination.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tony. Once again, we encourage everyone who are here right now to please stay on until we finish our open forum. I'm sure there's a lot to learn, especially with the wisdom that's being shared with us by Dr. Tony. So, Batek, would you like to carry on with the second question of Mr. James?
I just also like to follow up on what Doc Tony said. So, Doc, hindi pala nire-report ng testing hindi ba automatic that they should report it to?
I doubt it eh. Kung nire-report or mandatory. Dapat nire-report nila.
So, kanino lang nila binibigay yun sa...
Di ba sa patient lang. And then the other problem din, wala rin silang guideline for the saliva testings. Ang guideline nila kung kino-consider nila. Kasi the gold standard is the RT-PCR swab eh. Do they consider the saliva test and the antigen test as a surrogate testing for the positivity? Kasi in the States, kino-consider na nila antigen eh, kasi they can do it at home. And then ang taas ng correlation rate nila. Ibig sabihin, pag nag-positive ka sa antigen, there's increased likelihood na positive ka na rin for the RT-PCR swab. So therefore, based on that theory, then mas madami ka madadiagnose without going to the center. Saka mas mura pa mangyayari antigen. Again, it's creative and innovative eh. If we will not do innovative things and be creative about things, we will never solve the problem eh. Kasi one of the problem is the prohibitive cost and exorbitant cost of the RT-PCR swab. And then ang tagal pa niya ang results niya eh. Samantalang the antigen, right there and then eh, within minutes. So, di dapat maggalon lang sila ng correlation test. Let's run 500 tests. Pagka sabayan mo yung test na antigen ka, sabayan mo ng swab, and tingnan mo yung correlation test. Kung 90% ka, then consider the antigen test as a
Correct.
test. Hindi mo na kailangan mag-swab
Mm-mm.
so that you can do it at home.
Mm-mm.
Yun eh. Yan nirekomenda ni Dr. Michael Mina, yung nagcha-champion yan in Harvard, na it's crazy doing the swab test ang tagal-tagal when you have a high correlation test of the antigen with the swab.
Correct.
Ang problema, wala tayong guidelines na doon. So, bakit ganun? 'Di ba? So, we're not thinking the right
Efficiency.
solutions eh. Laging huli tayo eh. Hanggang kailan tayong ganito? That's a problem eh.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Matek, I'll take on the second question
Go.
of James, because it's also related from the question of Dr. Russell Duval Santos, who, by the way, is also a member of the Kilusan Contra COVID. So the second question, Dr. Tony, can you take 2 doses of a less effective vaccine today and then take a better vaccine later this year when it becomes available? And it relates with the question of Dr. Robal. In the event that we are not able to obtain stocks of the first vaccine dose given in time, AstraZeneca, do you think it is feasible to give a different vaccine, such as Moderna, which may be available as a second dose? France allows this, but UK does not. And another question: when do you use test-based approach for symptom-based approach in deciding when a COVID-19 positive patient can exit isolation? So this first question about your gut. If you take this brand of vaccine and then another one, ano yung rules doon?
They call it the mix and match, no? There's an ongoing study right now in UK. And the prospects are very good that eventually you can use a different vaccine for their second dose. Yan ang lumalabas sa studies nila. Alam mo, ang future tingin ko is like that mix and match eh. And you
Parang
want to improve
fashion,
on that.
no? Mix and match lang.
Parang sorry mix and match ang mangyayari. Kasi
Exactly.
inaaral na nila yan, pero yung mga preliminary studies na nakita ko na in UK and US, eventually, you try muna let's say, Sinovac ka, mababa efficacy mo. Mas maganda, you have, you have protection, at least, rather than no protection at all.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then, pagdating nung magandang bakuna, magpa-booster ka so that you can have, your protection for life. And then, yun ang ilalagay mo sa passport mo. Kasi may nabasa ako, di ko lang nalagay, dami kasing data pumapasok sa akin eh. The beauty daw ng maganda daw bakuna, you will be respected in every country na pupuntahan mo. Let's say, Pfizer ka at Moderna vaccine. You can go, like sa Israel, yun ang magiging future na nakikita. So the mix and match, magandang prospects yan, magandang question ni Rosel. And I think that will be the future.
Doc, patanong. So if I took already the 2 doses of this brand X, no? Ilang months bago ako dapat magpabakuna ulit?
Okay. Ako na lang, Astra ako. Astra kunyari ako. And then, hindi ako hindi ako optimistic that I can get the May 6 second dose eh. Kasi out of stock eh. Di ba? So, ang gagawin ko ganito. I'll wait for the second dose. Anyway, I'm 80%. I wait for the Astra ng Quezon City. Kasi I'm a Quezon City resident. Ang in-order ni Mayor Joy, Astra. So I'll take the second dose here in Quezon City kung hindi dumating sa Manila doctors to complete my dose. Ngayon, kung lumabas na una yung study na pwedeng mix and match, then I'll take kung ano man ang bakuna. Kung Sinovac siya, okay lang naman siya. At least you have the 2 dose. But ang lumalabas kasi, yung mRNA talaga, 6 months antibodies minimum So it can be 1 year na protected ka. So I'll take, kung maunang Moderna, I will ditch the Astra. Magpapamoderna na kagad ako. Sorry kunyari dumating ang Moderna at wala yung Astra, I will inject myself with Moderna. Yun na yung booster ko and then second dose ko. Kasi based on the studies, 6 months di ba? So yun ang naiisip ko based on the studies.
So vaccine is vaccine na. Doc, sabi mo nga kanina, that's I think what you've been saying the entire time kanina. Vaccine is vaccine. It will really help.
Oo. Kita mo naman sa Israel, grabe, di ba? Nakita nyo rin sa Indonesia, whatever vaccine ang gamitin nyo, importante. Kaya ginamit ko yung study ng Israel using Pfizer. So sabi ko, I want to disprove na ang concept na yun ay mali. Ginamit ko ngayon Indonesia, sinilip ko. Sinovac ang in-inject kay Joko Widodo and Astra. Kaya lang, mas magaling ang kanilang strategy. Ang galing nila mag-execute. 2-3 months. Oh. So it's not the vaccine eh. It's the vaccination per se. Kasi magkaka-herd immunity ka eh. Yun ang concept. Kaya lang siyempre, in the international market, if you want to go to the US, siyempre, ang preferred nila, yung bakuna na effective sa kanilang bansa. Kaya eventually, kung gusto mo to go to other countries of the world, whether Europe or ano, then you have to have the mRNA vaccine because it is the one that can protect you from the variants eh. Kasi the ordinary vaccines cannot address the variants eh. Yun ang aking thinking process later on for travel purposes.
Okay. Matek, I saw the question from James Nag. He's just asking, Doc, ano ba yung arrival dates ng mga, because we've been hearing many things kung kailan, ano na ba talaga, kailan ba darating yung Astra, Moderna, yung Sputnik, dumating na. So,
alam mo, sad ako dyan kasi binabasa ko, hindi ko maintindihan eh. Kasi magulo. Magulo siya eh. It's difficult not to track eh. Kaya naguguluhan din taong bayan eh. Tsaka, ang dami nating expectations then unfulfilled. Sorry if you're with the government. 'Di ba sabi dati dadating yung ang una nating vaccine na na-approve ng EUA January Pfizer.
correct.
And they said dadating siya 115,000 doses. And then nagkaroon ng indemnity. April na ngayon, di pa rin dumadating the first vaccine allowed sa atin, di ba? And then AstraZeneca, yun ang second na approved, na out of stock ka. So what I'm saying, I think kawawa si Secretary Galvez. Dapat meron siyang vaccine team na marunong sa logistics. Kasi kung akong gagawin ko diyan, I will hire somebody from kung ilan yung na-approvean mo na Pfizer. So you talk to the CEO of Pfizer. Kayo nang bahala mag-order niyan sa States kasi kayo naman kilala niyo yung mga taga-Amerika and then report to me. Hindi ko magpa-follow up. Kunyari Astra, may CEO dito. Order yung in-order namin. And then mas clear yon kasi ganun sa corporate world eh. Sinovac, close naman sila sa China. Di okay yan. O Gamaleya, pro sila sa Gamaleya. Pero tinan mo, 15,000 lang yung doses ko, konti. So, ang problema dyan, I don't know whether they're experts in logistics. In the company where dati kaming tatrabaho ni Egay, hindi ko turf yan eh. I don't understand logistics and distribution because I'm medical and regulatory. O miski si Egay siguro mahihirapan din dyan. Kasi merong special talent yan eh. And that's the reason why we don't hit right now the distribution because we don't have the expertise there. And I think kung if we're close to Secretary Galvez, kailangan right now magpa-summit ka and get the best people for logistics, distribution, procurement, marketing, sales, and distribution. I think it will work. Kasi dami mong ginagawa eh. I know that kasi ina-assist natin Secretary Galvez. All day, they'll be meeting ka. So if you're meeting, who's in charge right now? Kung dadating talaga yung bakuna mo, hindi. Siya rin ang sumusundo. I mean, you should delegate it with authority. Hindi naman in every sunduan, ikaw lahat. Ikaw susulubong sa airport. I mean, pwede undersecretary lang yun eh. And then you can work on other things. I mean, you cannot do it all by yourself. It has to be a team. And if we're not thinking that way, we will not achieve yun nangyari. Tignan mo, Israel is very clear. Israel is very clear in their strategy. 24/7 ang bakuna sa kanila. Walang tulugan. Pag from your work, may schedule ka. And you know kung saan ka dapat bakunahan. We can do that. Ganon din halos sa Indonesia. So hindi clear for us eh kung paano ang vaccination sa atin. It's not clear. Yung clarity of thoughts and directions, medyo magulo sa atin kung saan tayo babakunahan.
Doc Lodge, let me just say, ang dami nagpapasalamat sa iyo, Doc Tony, for doing such a good job. Now, there's a question from Rodel Cuenyo. How could we convince people to get vaccinated and not resort to other means like prophylactic treatment or medication?
Ang nakita ko kasi dyan is the lack of education. In the book Checklist by Atul Gawande, there are three reasons why we fail in health and in life. The one is ignorance. Even intelligent persons are ignorant. Um, Kasi hindi mo alam Kunyari, di ka doktor pero matalino ka. You're an engineer, So, kaya education is key. And how do you write down do that Dapat the IATF should fast track yung insertion into the curriculum of science-based approach sa elementary, high school, college, and then sa HR programs nila. And then do social media thing on education. And then leadership by example ang kailangan. Magpabakuna yung mga dapat magpabakuna. Like in other countries, Scott Morrison, Australia, sila mismo, si Prime Minister Lee, si Anthony Fauci, nagpapa-inject sila, si Joko Widodo. Ang president, hinihintay pa rin natin siya magpabakuna, hindi pa rin siya nagpapabakuna. With so many followers ng president, kung president magpabakuna, I think a lot of people will follow Leadership by example kasi siya Again, we cannot educate the entire population kasi curriculum siya base long term Ang kaya ginagawa is to jumpstart. Kung sinong presidente ng country na yon, magpapabakuna siya and display it in public. Oh, the president, nagpabakuna, magpapabakuna din ako. So, ganun ang style na ginagawa ng successful countries. Kaya kita mo si Joko Widodo, January, and then si Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel. 3 months. Kasi leadership by example siya Ngayon, kung hindi ka magpapabakuna, people will ask, ba't kaya ayaw magpabakuna ng presidente? Di ba? So, people will ask those questions Oh, I hope you're getting the point The point, leadership by example. It's a book. Lead by example. Yun ang the best daw to educate people. Number 2 reason why we fail, ang tawag ineptitude. Knowledge is there but we fail to apply it correctly. Ibig sabihin, nyari, alam natin masama manigarilyo, masama minom ng alak. There's a preponderance of scientific evidence na ganito. Pero pasaway tayo Hindi natin sinusunod. Di ba alam natin science-based is important At ang pangatlo, wala tayong clear blueprint or platform for change, for education. Wala Walang in charge of these things to educate on holistic purpose Wala. Puro propaganda work Okay, ito yung gagawin natin. Sasalita. Pero walang magdi-disseminate detailed on how to do it with clarity. Wala So walang blueprint. Walang checklist din in the first place. So we fail in that aspect.
Follow-up question kay from Rodel pa rin. And is there still hope for the government to listen to sound advice?
Well, there's no wrong time to do the right thing. And leadership is about listening to people As a doctor, would you believe that I will listen muna to a patient and I will not interrupt for 10 minutes? Ganito sasabihin ko sa kanya, how can I help you? Gaganyan lang ako sa kanya. Kasi that patient has been waiting for you for hours. So I'm sure may checklist siyang tatanong. Now, kung magbabat-in ka, wala ka matututunan. You cannot direct that. So, I mean, the government should listen to people. Kasi there's no monopoly of wisdom and knowledge in this country. Lahat tayo may opinion. So I think we need to listen to good ideas, particularly kung well-researched. Now, if we don't listen, then bakit pa tayo ngayon naging government? Importante yung approach na yun Kaya nga God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. So that we can listen more and talk less.
Correct. That's very nice. Doc, we have a question here from in Facebook from Evangeline Chu. And it relates with about the first and second dose. So, tanong niya, is the first dose of the vaccine same as the second dose? That's why you can switch to another brand for the second dose as long as they're the same brand.
According to studies, no, particularly 80% daw you can achieve your immunity in 2 weeks time with the first dose. Eh. Pero it varies on the efficacy um, of the vaccine. As long as makakompleto mo, then you can have a permanent immunity.
Wala kay Alvin
May merong
dito.
magaling na bakuna na 80% kagad within 2 weeks. And then you have only a completion dose for the second dose. Sa akin, ang importante, whatever vaccine you have, meron kayong immunity kahit papano para hindi kayo ma-hospital at hindi kayo magkaroon ng severe disease. To me, that is important. Kaya mapansin yung slide, I did not put there the efficacy rate. Kasi sa akin, irrelevant yan eh. Kasi that will only increase the vaccine hesitancy if you will see the efficacy rate. Kung pare-pareho pala na almost 95 to 100% that you will decrease hospitalization and severe disease regardless of the efficacy rate, then any vaccine will help. So, ganun lang ang gusto kong ipayo. Let's simplify things. Magpabakuna kayo, mas mabuti. Eh, Secretary Duque, yung Sinovac eh. Di ba? Oh, so ibig sabihin, that's good for Secretary Duque, Sinovac. And I admire Secretary Duque for doing that kasi maraming questions about the Chinese vaccine. The other people, si Edsel Salbanya, a very good infectious disease expert. Sinovac din siya. Dr. Gap Ligaspi. Si FDA chief. Sinovac din siya. Secretary Galvez, Sinovac din siya. Di ba? Oh, yung iba naman, Astra. O like ako, Astra. Kasi yun ang binigay sa aming hospital eh. The family namin, yung mga anak ko sa Makati Med, yun ang binigay. So we took the Astra. So kahit sabi nila may rare thrombotic events, we believe in vaccination eh. Mas mataas yung benefits over the risk. So, napaka-importante to take a position. And whatever vaccine we will be given to you, embrace that. Kasi that will actually increase the herd immunity. The moment na hindi tayo mag-participate, every citizen will actually contribute to the herd immunity.
Okay, thank you. From Alvin and Rose Ang, is it true that after the first jab, we need to rest because our immune system will be down?
Yes, that's true. My advice doon, wala sa textbook, you take an anti-allergy and a paracetamol so that you will reduce your allergies. And hindi naman totoo na lahat naman magkaka-allergy. Kaya lang, common sense lang. Common sense ang ginagamit ko. And then nagpaparacetamol din ako. Kaya 48 hours, wala akong problema with the bakuna.
So, antihistamine, Doc, ganun.
Antihistamine and then
Okay.
paracetamol.
Okay.
1 to 2 hours before the event. And then for 2 days, nagpaparacetamol ako 3 times a day. And then 1 antihistamine once a day, 48 hours. And then that's it. Wala. So successful for me, so it might be successful for you.
Okay, here's a question. Apparently, the president mentioned, and also the DOH mentioned, that the current upsurge is actually due to the inability of the LGUs, unable to control big gatherings. What are your thoughts on this, and what action should the LGUs take to address this, you think?
Alam mo, lagi masisisi ang LGU kasi we kasi consider ourselves as independent states eh. Dapat, ang NCR should be one country. 17 kasi yan. 17 cities yan. And 17 din ang style of leadership niyan. Kaya dapat nga, isa lang ang blueprint niyan for the entire NCR. Pagka binigyan mo ng latitude and flexibility, it's LGU. They will do different things. So, my advice, since ang NCR will be 12 million, isang template niyan. Ngayon, and then adhere to this template, walang hihiwalay. Ang nangyayari kasi, it's LGU, kanya-kanyang implementation. Siyempre, contiguous area eh. Nagtatrabaho ako sa Makati, uuwi ako ng Quezon City. So, dapat ituring natin ang NCR as a separate state and then pare-pareho dapat kayo ng rule. Kung ang testing na kailangan dito, ito. Contact tracing, kailangan to. Ang bakuna nyo dapat 100%. And then, ilabas ang scorecard nyo. If Quezon City, traffic light, where are you right now on the testing? Green ka, 100% ka. Yellow ka, ongoing. Red, wala kang nagagawa. Then, ipakita. Then, Manila, ganito din. So that the nation will see kung sino ang delinquent na LGU leaders. Kasi walang scorecard eh. Pagka may scorecard ka, na-check ng presidente o pagka sa meeting, papakita during the IATF meeting, this is a laggard. Dapat, can you check this? Who are these mayors who are not, fulfilling their goals based on the scorecard? Kaya tayo hindi nagsasucceed because we don't have a scorecard.
Interesting point, no? Talagang one blueprint.
One blueprint. Gagawa ka ng bahay. Alam nga naman, iba't iba ang blueprint mo sa salas mo. Iba ang blueprint mo sa kitchen mo. Pwede ba naman yun? Tapos iba't ibang engineer mo para sa bahay mo. Saan naman nakakita?
Walang coherence.
Walang coherence eh. Dapat isa lang ang blueprint for sa bahay. Di ba?
There's a question from Facebook, from Rax Garcia. If the LGUs have ordered their own vaccines for their constituents, what is slowing down the vaccination? Where are their vaccines? I think most of the people wanted to be vaccinated but could only wait. It relates with what you said kasi kanya-kanya silang strategy. So, mas lalo yatang gumugulo imbes na
election next year, tandaan
natin. Imbes na mas streamline, di ba?
No. Isa lang yan dapat, team. Yan ang nagko-control niyan.
Okay.
Oo. Tapos yung LGU, nagpa-follow up yan, ini-scorecard ka. Yung vaccine team yan, ang kakausapin niyan, yung supplier. Kunyari Pfizer yan, kakausapin ko ng CEO. When is the vaccine coming? Si Astra, when is the vaccine coming? Si Swillig sa Moderna, kailan darating yan? Dapat ganun ang usapan eh. Kasi sa dami ginagawa ni Secretary Galvez, hindi ma-perform yan eh. But yung CEO ng Pfizer local, kausap niya New York eh. Then makaka-commit siya. I mean, ganun ang thinking process kasi that's the way we do it eh. Before, ang kausap namin, siyempre kaibigan namin yun eh. Di mapapadating yun. And then aside from that, diplomatic talks din. Napaka-importante na if the president will lift the phone and then talk, "Hi Joe, this is Rodrigo. Perhaps you'll be finishing by July. Would you care to send us, let's say, 10 million doses? Our situation in the Western Pacific right now. And perhaps through another call, we can discuss about it." Diba?
Yeah.
Yep. Here's another one from Alvin and Rose Ang. Is it dangerous to travel by plane, inside a plane which is enclosed?
Hindi po. Ang daming naggabiyahe na. Tsaka ang dami na po ngayon na stewardess na vaccinated na. Ang daming, yan ho ang unang ginagawa ngayon. Qatar Airways, Singapore Airways. Binabakunahan na yung mga empleyado. And then kahit kunyari airborne siya, kung double mask ka naman at saka naka-face shield ka, the same protection pa rin kahit airborne. Ibig sabihin, extra hygiene ka kahit matagal. But I think it's not dangerous to travel as long as you are vaccinated. Kasi siyempre, alam nyo naman nalulugi ng airline industry. And I'm sure they want to ensure the protocol is in place so that wala tayong diyang super spreading event. Ang daming nagbebiyahe na to those countries eh. Dami ko na rin pasyente galing America after their vaccination. Kaya lang natigil ngayon because of the variant. Pero before that, marami na rin po ako. And they will show that. And then tinatanong ko, how's the situation in the airport? Ganda po, ang ganda. Bakunado po sila. At maayos po yung spacing. Yun ho eh. I'm sure pagka na-realize mo, bakit nga ba nakatravel ito na safe? Ibig sabihin, kasi hindi pa ako nakakapag-travel to show you yung real experience. But through kwento, sinasabi nila, okay, maganda ho na mag-travel ngayon. Meron akong kaibigan, umuwi na ng Budapest eh. Nag-i-enjoy na sila. Kasi bakunado na sila. So, to and fro na lang sila eh. So, I think it's okay to travel. Yun nga, di ba sinasabi ko, as long as you have the immunity passport.
Opo, do you have any question on your end?
Yeah. From James again. Will ivermectin help stop the pandemic?
Hindi,
Baka for next, ano na yun. But sige, go, Doc.
I'd like to ask Attorney Dot if I will answer the question kasi kaibigan ko si Attorney Dot eh. And
Oh my God, nakasalala yung friendship? Ganun na yun? Ano yung question na yun? Nakasalala yung friendships?
I respect kasi si Attorney Dot and she's my good friend.
Sige, let's postpone this question.
Pero if you
For
want
the
my
next
opinion
one.
on that, I can tell you. Pero gusto ko magpaalam muna kay Attorney Dot before I answer the question.
Sige lang po, Doc Tony. I respect you also. I respect your position. And I know that you respect my position. There's no problem po. Sige lang po.
Okay. Ako po ay law-abiding citizen. Pag hindi po approved ng FDA dati, hindi ko po mape-prescribe kasi pag nag-prescribe ako at nagka-side effect po yung pasyente, matatanggal po yung lisensya ko. So ang aking problem. Number 2, during my past life, tinitingnan po namin yung approval sa US FDA kasi American company yung pinagtatrabaho ko, Pfizer. So pag na-approvean sa US FDA, which is recognized as the most stringent regulatory agency, pag na-approvean yan, kukunin lang namin yung regulatory documents and apply that at the FDA. And then usually, ang ginagawa nila, randomized control trial. Ang ibig sabihin, hindi maraming gamot, isa lang, mano-mano with a placebo at 40,000 cases. Pag napatunayan na against placebo, panalo ka, hindi yung combination, let's say, na maraming gamot at ito. Tapos may level of evidence. Ang pinakamababang level of evidence ay observational or anecdotal. Kunyari, gumaling po ako doon sa gamot na yon. Pero marami ka namang inom. May vitamins ka, may linwa ka, and marami mong ininom. So hindi. So dapat randomized mag-isa ka lang. And then ang susunod, expert's opinion. Kunyari, nagsalita, magaling magsalita, tapos nag-viral. Hindi ibig sabihin, magaling magsalita, viral. Hindi po yon. Ang ginagamit na evidence ng FDA is a randomized control trial, multi-center, iba't ibang country, iba't iba. Yan. Tapos isasubmit yan sa FDA. Never kang isang expert opinion, pumunta ng FDA, nagsalita, gaano man siya kagaling magsalita, kung siya kasing galing ni Bill Clinton, hindi pa rin. Kahit magaling ka mag-influence dahil ganon. Evidence ang kailangan mo. And then, pag na-approvean ka dito, ng FDA, ibig sabihin, okay na. So pag nag-prescribe ako at pag side effect, responsibilidad mo na yun. Ang problema, pag nag-reseta ka ng gamot right now at magka-side effect, tangay ang lisensya mo. Why will I do that? At 60 years old, on my sunset years, I want to enjoy my apo. And then makukulong ako because of a side effect na pwede namang hindi ko gawin. Will I do that? I will not do that. Kasi it is not legally and morally correct to prescribe a product not approved by the FDA. It is against my principle because I'm a law-abiding citizen and I'm a truth teller. Yun lang po. Simple.
Thank you, Dr. Tony. Yeah. I think there's a question from Rodel. Miss Matek, you want to read that? The one before the question you asked.
Sorry, can you just read it? I'll have to go down.
Okay. Dr. Tony, may I ask what is your projected timeline or time frame when the pandemic will end? As if you are gone. Okay. What year will this be?
Hirap,
what year will this
Teka
be based on
muna.
the vaccination place happen? I think it's too much to
And then, ang projection ko,
fearless forecast.
forecast natin.
If
Pagka nabigyan ng isang team si Secretary Galvez, the best and the best. Di ba? Kunyari yung private sector through the tycoons, ipahiram niya yung magagaling nilang logistics, marketing. Galing lang yan di ba? Yung maraming tycoon.
Kung papakinggan.
Ay, hindi, kailangan talagang pakinggan.
Okay. So,
Okay.
pahiram yung magagaling, best of the best.
The best of the best. Kunyari,
Okay. Yeah.
the best and the brightest of the best companies in the Philippines, ipahiram yan and they work as a team. I think personally, 2 years. Alam mo bakit? Kasi may election time eh. Mababother tayo by the election. Because yung election, October yung filing of certificate candidate. Oo. Ngayon, magulo yan eh. Pag nagka-campaign na, magugulo yung sistema. I think dapat ginawa nila nung November, nung nag-assume si Secretary Galvez at nagpirmahan sila with the Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship, si Joey Concepcion. Dapat yung at time na pinahiram na ng mga tycoons ang kanilang best talents doon kay Secretary Galvez. So sa Secretary Galvez, naka-dashboard lang yan, pinapollow up niya kung sinong head ng marketing, na sales. The best of the best, kunyari may team, dapat gano'n. Pero ngayon, kung gagawin yan, I don't think ma-accomplish yan kaagad. Kasi unang-una, medyo late in the ball game na tayo when the whole world nagko-contest na sa pagkuha. Kasi dapat may projection ka. Ngayon ang India, naging outlier ang India, bigla na lang tayo nagulat. Siyempre, kung ikaw Amerika, bibigay mo ba sa Pilipinas o bibigay mo sa India? Di ba? Parang, kaya yun ang problema, yung India ang malaking factor dito. Kaya ang tingin ko 2 taon kasi yung change in leadership by May 2022, yan ang dapat unang gawin like Joe Biden. Again, I'm following a template. Joe Biden, after Donald Trump, ang ginawa niya, nilinis niya yung advisors. Ginawa niya, 12 puro medical advisors from Stanford, from Harvard. Pinili niya the best and the best. Tingnan mo, in 3 months lang, na-correct niya kasi meron siyang latitude. And then, kinausap lang niya si Pfizer and Moderna. Okay, mag-produce kayo. Yan ang sinabi niya. Pangalawa, ikaw Merck, makipagtulungan ka. Di ba nag-co-merger pa yan? Yung walang ginagawang kumpanya, tulungan niyo si Pfizer at Moderna, mag-manufacture kayo. Inutusan niya. Si Sanofi, wala kayong ginagawa, wala naman kayong bakuna, tulungan niyo. Kaya ang production, lumaki. Di ba? Yun ang dapat gagawin kaso, yun na nga, walang ganong klase. Dapat may template. And I'm using the Biden template na from a cavalier attitude of Donald Trump and then naging scientific approach si Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is 78 years old. 78 years old and yet with a lot of energy. So kayang gawin kung nanggaya yan in a tumultuous environment like the US. Nagawa yan. We can also do this. Kung nagawa nga ni President Widodo, nagawa niya, katulad lang na tayo, Southeast Asia, we can also do that.
Thank you.
You have a question? I have a question.
Sige, go ahead.
From Louis Habitan, I totally agree with the testing target. However, isn't that we are not in a total we are not in total control of the target number of testings as people are just voluntarily doing the testing on top of very expensive COVID testing.
Kasi ang problema dyan, hindi kiniklear ni Secretary Duque yung guidelines
Okay.
Walang clarity from the Department of Health in terms of testing. Dapat yan, kasama sa report sa IATF yan, every 2 weeks to the President. Hindi alam ng Presidente ang positivity test. Hindi alam niya ang testing. So how would you know? Dapat every head of state, alam yung mga doables. Di ba, hindi naman yan naiintindihan ng Presidente. Pero kung meron siyang dashboard na traffic light, hindi nagpe-perform tayo sa testing, di makikita niya. So it's about Secretary Duque doing all of these things. Kasi hindi naman alam niya ng IATF Only the Secretary of Health can do that.
So you're saying, kasi ang follow-up niya kasi is how can we target the 100,000 when testing is not totally controlled by the government? Hindi ba kontrolado ng government?
Kontrolado ng government. It's just that the government is not actually doing its part in terms of allocating it. Kunyari, 100,000 kunyari ang testing mo. Saan pupunta yung testing mo? I'll go to the top 10 hotspots at dun ko bubuhos ang testing ko. So if I control the hotspots, I can control everything. Ganun dapat kaklaro. Nilalabas na naman ng Okta Research Group ang hotspot. 1 to 20 nga ang hotspots Di dapat, yung 100,000 yun, doon pupunta doon sa mga areas na yun. Kaya I don't know ba't hindi ginagawa. Kaya sayang yung ginagawa ng Okta Research Group eh. They rank the hotspot areas. So dapat doon pupunta ang testing mo so that you can reduce the number of cases.
Okay, Doc. Tanong ni Egay pala, is there any development for vaccine for the 16 years old and below? Or why is that?
Yes, ang Pfizer successful in saying ngayon 16 to 18. Dati hindi ginagawa ang pagbabakuna for less than 18 kasi you have to prove mo na it's safe sa adults eh. Vulnerable kasi pagka mga children eh. Ngayon, natapos yung study, pwede na 16 and above. 16. And then susunod na niyan eh yung 14 and then mga infants, toddlers. Inuuna muna yung kasi nasa bahay lang naman sila kaya less sila doon sa priority. Kaya nakita mo yung mga namamatay ay elder. Tinapos mo na healthcare workers. Ngayon, ang latest, dapat pala may slide ako dyan, no? Eh guy, nadagdagan. 2 taon, 16, 18. Pwede na silang bakunahan. Nakakatuwa, no? Dahan-dahan nila ginagawa. And then later on yan, yung mga schools. Alam mo ba't ginagawa nila yan, guy? Willing na pag nabakunahan mo na yung mga school children, magkakaroon na ng face-to-face school sessions. Inuuna mo na, guy, because madaling mamatay yung mga matatanda at comorbid. Yun muna unang binabakunahan. At saka sila yung nagtatrabaho eh. Kaya inuna yan. Ngayon, they're trying to do studies right now for the schools so that you can open the schools na hindi lang online eh. Dapat face-to-face na. Kasi hindi pwede tayo magpa-delay sa education part eh. Kaya lang, first things first. Ang unahin muna those who are prone to hospitalization and early deaths.
Okay. We have a question from Camina Abbas. Ito, she already had finished her Sinovac. Kaya lang for travel requirements daw, hindi daw yun ang ino-honor. Kailangan daw Pfizer or Moderna. Ano nga ba yung timeline natin for that, Doc? Third quarter yata.
Oh, yun ang sinabi ko na kasi may isang newspaper yan eh na ino-honor nila yung mga tataasang efficacy rate. O kaya for travel purposes, kaya dapat ang booster ni Carmina would be either Pfizer o Moderna kasi in the international world siya yung kino-consider talaga.
Siya yung gold standard.
Oo, siya yung gold standard.
Okay. Doc, so for example, let's say na-Sinovac ako, di ba? So I had my 2 doses. And then let's say I have to travel in October. Pwede ba ako magpa-Moderna in October? So parang nakatatlo na akong okay lang yun?
Oo naman. Okay po. Magpa-test po kayo ng antibody. Meron yan sa St. Luke's eh. Whether with the Sinovac, kung ilang antibody meron na kayo na-develop. Kung mababa, magpabakuna kayo. Pero yun nga po, ang sinasabi nila, ang tinatanggap nilang bakuna yun kung dalawang magaling. Baka magpa-booster na ho kayo. Wala namang masama nun kung earlier po.
So that's okay. Kasi parang yun yung mga follow-up questions eh. When do you boost? They say, 2 doses ka na. So parang third booster, di ba? And it's okay. There's really no time frame in between.
I don't want to dampen you. Kaya lang may nabasa ko. Sa first dose pala ng Sinovac, 17% muna yung immunity. Yung second dose, doon mo na complete yung 80%. Magkaiba kaysa sa Pfizer and Moderna. Ang front load niya, 80% sa first dose, 20% yung second dose. Baliktad siya.
So clearly talaga sa Sinovac, pag Sinovac, the second dose is a clincher.
It's essential. In one study na nabasa ko po, 20% yung immunity mo sa first dose. Yung second dose, that will complete the 80%.
Okay. Before the other questions, I think Attorney Doc has an important message to share.
Yeah, very, very quick lang, Doc. We have to acknowledge some people na baka hindi mo alam na they are with us. We have SEC former chairperson Tess Herbosa. She's with us. Then, of course, we have DTI Undersecretary Eliseo Rio. Thank you po. We have Yes, of the DICT, Senator Pia Cayetano and her staff, Jean Dantis, UP Women Lawyers Circle President Arlene Lapuz Oreta and her officers, the Philippine Bar Association of Treasurer Attorney Bingbing Villarreal Fernando, the Vice Mayor of Vallejo City, from the US po ito ha, Vallejo City in California, Vice Mayor Rosana Verder Aliga, Baguio Country Club President Vicky De Los Reyes, Barangay Captain Camille Malik David, our UP Concert Chorus conductor and some of our members are here with us, Professor Jai Sabas Aracama, the First Ladies of Rotary, Lady Joanne Policarpio, Lady Linda Reyes, Lady Pea Fausto, Lady Pichi Ayento. Later again. Ang dami. Doc, you have 270 by Zoom pa lang. 270 according to Matek. Baka dumami pa. She was able to record it earlier. There were 270. This is the biggest so far for our Zoom seminar. So thank you so much. But we will have more after a few more questions. Thank you.
Balita ko, walang tulugan to, di ba?
Simbang gabi, ganon? Simbang gabi in May?
Thank you for listening. Naklanage ko po yung government for their efforts po. So, alam niyo naman ako kung ano yung sinabi ko po. I always acknowledge yung ginagawa ng government. It's just that they lack support from the private sector. And we cannot blame the government entirely kasi unang-una, malaki ho yung pandemya ho natin. And then ang nangyari din po, kulang din po ang support ng private sector to the government. And I think this is about time po na we should join hands parang Avengers or Marvel superhero. It's about us pinag-uusapan natin And si Sec Chair Erboas, kapatid po siya nung dati kong kasama sa National Task Force, si Ted. Ibigan ko po siya. And they belong to the Rizal family. Senator Pia Cayetano, lagi kong kasama po yan sa advocacy, even in the tin tax. Laking tulong po ni Senator Cayetano in my advocacy work. Hindi ko alam kung nanonood po kayo. I'm sorry, hindi ko po kayo nag-read po. And
Senator Pia Cayetano will watch tonight, but the staff is here, pero she really wants to watch it. Sabi po niya, when it comes to governance, ultimately, the IATF needs to know, needs to make tough decisions and follow through on them. That's from Senator Cayetano. But she really wants to watch, so pinapa-record po yata niya. Thank you so much.
Buti na lang po, Attorney Dot, bago yung date ang na-present ko para makita nila talaga. April 30 yung all over the world di ba? Ganun po yung approach ko para mas maganda at fair talaga yung atin hong pag-ano. And wala tayong politics, so dito pinag-usapan ko. Ano yung nakikita natin? Yun ho. And I hope naging fair ako din sa pagsabi po.
Yeah. Thank you, Doc. Popo, Prof.
Yeah.
Popo and Prof. Matek, you may
Matek
continue.
has a question to share.
From Ronald. Hello, Doc. My friend was given a first shot. Then after 3 weeks, he contracted COVID and went to nagkaroon siya ng moderate case. He was hospitalized and given convalescent plasma as one of his treatment regimen. Ask ko po kung kailangan po siya pwede magtanggap ng second dose of the vaccine.
Pag dati kasi, pagka nagka-COVID ka at nagtanggap ka ng plasma, at least 90 days ka bago uli magkaroon ng injection. Yun yung guidelines.
Okay.
So
3 months.
3 months po, 90 days.
Okay.
Pero pag hindi kayo nakatanggap ng plasma, sabi nila pag galing mo at least 14 days or shorter. Pero ako personally, mag-iingat muna ako, malakas ang katawan ko bago ako magpabakuna kasi baka mabinat po kayo.
Yeah, okay. Kasi yun yung follow-up question na, Doc hindi po ba mawawala ng visa ang first shot of the vaccine when the patient was given all those antibiotics and
Hindi po. Ang guidelines po sa CDC 90 days. Kunyari nagka-COVID ka. Kailan magpabakuna po kayo ng uli kasi baka hawa po kayo ng ng other variant. Yung bakuna niyo protected kayo from the Wuhan strain. Tandaan niyo po ang dominant pa rin in the Philippines. More than 95% siguro Chinese pa rin. Pero pwede kayo mahawa po kung kayo po ay nadali po ng South African variant kasi yung Astra, like ako, pwede ako magkaroon ng another COVID kasi Astra po ako, 'di ba, natigil sa South Africa kasi mahina daw po ang Astra for the South African. Pero kukonti naman yung case na yan. So, I'd rather take yung chance na yon and then magpapa-booster ako ng Moderna or Pfizer po.
Okay, thank you. From Dennis Antonio, after hearing this webinar, the data seems to point out that we cannot go to GCQ until we reach greater than 5% positive rate. Is this correct? The government should target this percentage and not dates. It's very misleading to adopt dates of reopening.
But that's a very good question. Kaya lang ho, I think the country will suffer naman po kung rigid na 5% As long as we can dance, 'di ba nakita niyo yung hammer and dance? As long as we can dance and then meron tayong adequate testings, madadiagnose sa sarili mo. Kasi we cannot be rigid na 5%. Kasi kita niyo na ilang month na po, puro 15% lagi ang positivity rate natin. Hindi na makakapasok kung tatargetin natin siya. I think ang pinaka-minimum na pwede natin ma-achieve is GCQ. Tapos magagawa tayo ng positive. Pero we cannot go to the new normal pagka ganun po. Magse-search tayo na magse-search po. Kaya ang solution dyan mass testings pa rin. Dapat po matulungan din si Vince. Secretary Galvez and si Vince. I think si Vince should have a support kasi yung testings kasi essential yan In other countries, testings lang sila and contact tracings at saka bakuna para to simplify everything. Ang gagawin habang nagbabakuna, mass testings and tracing. Yun lang ho ang ginawa nila. Nakita niyo naman ho yung best example na nakita natin. 3 months kayang gawin kung focus ka lang And then, ang isang suggestion ko, dapat all the medical doctors should help in the vaccination. Hindi ini-invite Dapat tawagin ni Secretary Duque lahat ang doctors to help and assign a certain place. Ako, I'm willing. Pag tinawag ako, you'll be assigned, let's say, in Manila. O kunyari, sa may Luneta, may tent doon kasi ventilation. I'm willing to work. Ang problema, walang call from the national government on how can I volunteer myself. Diba? I'm willing. Totoo yun. Kaya lang walang call Ilan kaming doctors. Kaya mabagal po yung bakuna. Ang pagbabakuna natin, kung ano lang inassign ng LGU, yun lang ho yun But ang daming walang ginagawa ho ngayon. Ang daming mga nurses na naghihintay lang ng work abroad. Pwede sila magbakuna with the supervision of the doctors. Yun ang isang kulang. Nakita niyo po, wala yung PMA, wala yung Philippine College of Physicians, wala yung mga pediatrician group. Kung yan lahat ay scattered at may assignment kami, and the President will mandate war ito all of us should be summoned to lead and help. Walang call from naghihintay nga ako ng call na yon. I will cancel clinic pag tinawag ako, Dr. Leachon, you're assigned at Manila or ganito. You should be there in the vaccination center. I'm willing to help. Ang problema, walang call.
Popo, you have questions
from
Facebook?
Emily Capito. Hi, Emily. I worked with her before. Thank you for the enlightening talk, Dr. Leachon. How do you plan to have your proposed strategies brought to IATF for possible implementation? Ito na nga yung civil society and our...
I think itong grupong to, I think this is a powerful group of influencers. Lalo na, nandiyan si Senator Pia. And Senator Pia is a health advocate. At alam mo, kailangan ito mga ganitong klase na mga information and build on it kasi ang gagaling din nyo Ang present ko data, successful countries so that we can learn from them. na paano makakapunta sa IATF? Through the influencers. Ang dami influencers dito. Si Senator Pia Cayetano is very close to the President. Kung some of the data makapunta kay President, I'm sure, or kay Secretary Duque. Ang problema lang kasi, siyempre, I'm not working right now with the National Task Force and IATF. And you know naman, the political dynamics. Pero let's set aside, let's say, the political dynamics and as a Filipino citizens right now. The data is there, di naman akin yan. Kaya sabi ko, I'm willing to share it. Kasi it's all over naman sa internet eh. Ang ginawa ko lang is to present to you. Naisip ko lang yun. Kasi na-inspire ako sa sa Israel. At inaral ko mabuting Israel. At na-inspire din ako sa Indonesia. And then, naka-build ako ng story on how to become successful. Ang ngayon, kung ma-adapt yan ng IATF and follow the same template, hindi na sila mag-strategic planning meeting pa. Tagal-tagal ang strategic planning meeting eh. Gawin nila is paano ginawa yan and then assign people. Mag-meet lang siguro ng 3 days yan for execution and then they will be okay. Kasi there's no time right now eh. We're in the middle of crisis eh. So kung gagawin nila ng gagawin yung every time na mag-meet ang presidente at lagi na lang kulang yung data, hindi makaka-action ng presidente dito. I think we need another, di ba yan ang sinasabi ni Albert Einstein? Sabi ni Albert Einstein, if you're going to solve the problem using the same level of thinking, you will not solve the problem. You have to see it a different vantage point. Eh. And you have to look at a helicopter view. Kasi iba yung view na dito, iba yung view dito. Pero kung helicopter view ang tingin mo, you can diagnose it eh.
Matek?
Is there nothing on Facebook? Kasi I'm going to ask, ito, medyo slightly political. Doc,
Yeah.
from Eileen. Doc, what can the Filipino do if the government will still not listen to your suggestion or follow examples of other successful countries to end this pandemic? Hindi kaya strategiya lang nila to na patagalin ang pandemic by delaying everything up to election time in 2020. Budget manipulation maybe?
It's difficult to sagutin. Kasi unang-una, politiko yung brother ko, si Congressman Leachon. Alam mo, I don't believe in this kind of situation eh. Alam mo naman, in this IATF, ang dami dyan na, like yung mga military generals, why will they delay that kung may namamatay na? So sorry ganyan lang ang thinking process ko. And I work with them, Secretary Galvez. Wala naman akong masamang experience sa kanya. And also with Secretary Duque. Of course, hindi kami nagkakasundo on certain things. But I'm sure in the middle of the night, may sleepless na sila and hindi sila nakakatulog. Why will they delay it because of the election process when people will be dying? Tandaan natin yung mga nanalong mga head of state dahil magaling ang pandemic response. I'll give you example. Joe Biden won because of the non-performance ni cavalier attitude ni Donald Trump. Si Ardern nagkaroon ng landslide victory. Si Jacinda sa New Zealand, di ba? Re-elected siya. Vietnam, yung kanilang president because of their fine job. The Seoul Prime Minister, landslide din niya. Chancellor Merkel, so nabibigyan sila ng affirmation because of their performance. So therefore, the performance mo dito sa pandemic is a barometer or a parameter of the next leadership na mangyayari. So if we fail in this, ganun ang ramifications niya. But they have much time 1 year to go kung na-reverse ng Israel in 3 months yung cases at ang Indonesia nagawa, you have 3 months to go di ba? You have 1 year to go. Ang dami pa magagawa. Before the election time, magsosona pa ang presidente, July. So ngayon, May, June, July. You have 3 months to turn the corner So kung focus lang sila on what Israel and Indonesia doing, pag nagsalita ang presidente on the last Monday of July, proud siya kung mai-implement lang niya what Israel and Indonesia are doing.
Okay, thank you. We have a question in Facebook from Ida Chan. Given all the brands that are available, what can you recommend for a senior citizen that has been taking medicine for diabetes, high blood med? Is she advisable to be vaccinated? Kasi after hearing mga side effects after being vaccinated, parang she doesn't want to be vaccinated after reading na after 3 years, baka cancer after taking vaccines. Is it true? So it's senior citizens.
Hindi po totoo yan. Kaya ang una kong picture sa inyo, si Margaret Keenan, 91 years old, UK grandmother. You see that picture? 91 years old yun eh. And then there's may dalawang pag-aaral sa UK, US na elderly above 80, as long as you're not frail, okay kayo. Kayo nga po dapat ang unang dapat gamutin kasi kayo po ang prone to hospitalization, yung elderly. The vaccinations are really for you. Kaya yung A1, healthcare, yung susunod senior citizens. Kasi kayo po yung mababa na immunity. There are two times of your life na bababa immunity. Pagka anak mo wala ka immunity. Kaya lahat ng bata nagbabakuna. And then after age 50, mababa ang immunity. Kaya nagpapabakuna tayo para tumaas ang immunity natin. So para sa inyo yan. And then susunod yung comorbid condition. Kaya maraming nagkakaroon ng complications kasi yung virus pag atake sa inyo, lumalala yung inyong pre-existing condition. Suddenly, yung tahimik mong heart disease na angioplasty ka. Eh ngayon, bigla ka ngayon nagka-virus. Ngayon, magko-complicate yun. Kasi nga, yung proximity niya to the other organs at saka yung inflammation type eh. If you remember, si General Danny Lim, ang laki-laking ano nun, and then fit. Eh di ba, nagkaroon ng COVID. Ang kinamatay niya, heart attack eh. So, that's one example na nakikita natin. Hindi yung kahit fit ka, pero pagka may edad ka at mayroon kang pre-existing condition, your problem can actually be more complicated. So, dapat magpabakuna tayo. So, wag ko kayo matakot. The vaccines are really there for you. It's really for elderly, comorbid conditions, and for the healthcare workers. Kayo po ay priority. Kaya, tanggalin nyo na po yun na theory na yan na magkakaroon po kayo ng mga cancer pagdating ng araw. Think of this day, kung hindi ko kayo mabakunahan because of the surge and the variants, pag na-hospital ho kayo, delikado po eh. The probability of dying is very high pagka medyo elderly kayo. It's about 80% ang probability of dying and those with pre-existing conditions.
Okay, for our last question from our colleague in Kilcovid, may I propose Kilcovid Chair Dr. Tony and President Attorney Dot. Maybe Kilcovid can start with an information awareness campaign on vaccines and testing just to help the public at this stage. Siguro we could also check first with IATF, ano ba yung programa nila sa communication or UH before we dip our fingers so that they might do something, we might do something, and they just,
No, and it really, I think information drives are very, it requires a lot of resources. I mean, Doc Tony has so much information. The message is so clear, but the medium, di ba, Doc Tony, kailangan widespread, and that's actually not cheap. I mean, I think that's when the private sector, like the different media people can come in.
Ito yun eh. I'm reading all my Harvard Business Review. Strategy, communication, leadership. Lahat ng Harvard Business Review, binabasa ko na po talaga. But an effective leader should be able to communicate. And according to Albert Einstein again, if you cannot explain to a 6-year-old guy, then you are not a good communicator. So we're in the era of social media. Dapat lahat ng communications natin dapat tweetable and Facebook friendly. So kailangan itong presentation natin 101 slides ho ito. If they can get a story out of it using best practices. Kaya I think we will be successful. Ang problema lang, with due apologies to the palace communicator, ang ating style kasi propaganda work eh. Hindi ho dapat ganoon. In crisis, nabasa ko lahat, dapat daw open and candid communication. Realistic picture. Tell them the problem. so that they are willing to sacrifice and they can actually join you in your. Ngayon, if you tell the people na, okay, we're excellent. So how can they work if excellent pala yung performance mo? Di ba? But when you see that the country really is in a crisis, then people will join hands to help you. Yun ang concern eh. Yun ang aking tingin. By reading all of these books, wala nagsabi na you should be stonewalling communication. All of them said, all of these books na binasa ko, open, candid, and transparent communication. Yun ang secret daw of an effective leader.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
That's
So
as much time as we have. Grabe, 3 oras na. Baka hindi nyo pa nahahalata, 3 oras na tayo dito. Grabe, Doc Tony, masyado ka mahusay. Nobody realized mag-i-angelus na. Okay.
Hindi ko maalam eh. Parang hindi ako nagsalita ng 3 oras eh. Kasi
feel like, no?
Yeah, because
kasi,
it's so interesting.
Kasi it's a story eh. Mamaya pang gabi titingnan ko pa yung other countries.
Oh, well, in that, so, okay, because, dahil sinabi mo yan, we'll have you in pretty soon, I think, no, Doc Dat, Attorney Dat, maybe we'll have him again.
Sisilipin ko yung other countries pa. Hindi ko pa nasusuyod yung Europe eh. Susuyudin ko yung Latin.
So may upcoming update po tayo.
Susuyudin ko ang Latin America. Susuyudin ko kung bakit nag-fail ang India. Susuyudin ko kung bakit nag-fail ang Brazil. I'd like to find out why they failed. Diba?
And you just volunteered, Doc Tony, for our in our succeeding kasi marami ka pa palang i-share sa amin.
I'll find out why India failed.
Yeah.
And then why Brazil failed. Diba sila yung nandun? Bakit sila nag-fail? Diba?
And to think that India is supposed to be a producer also of vaccines and
it's crazy eh. Bakit sila nag-fail? Diba?
Attorney Dot, you have some acknowledgements to make?
Yes.
Before the closing remarks.
Of course, I would like to thank again and again Dr. Tony Leachon, our speaker for this afternoon, for giving this 4th webinar for Celebrity Club. 4th na po. I think 4 out of 12. Ganun ka namin kamahal at ganun kami kabilib sa'yo. We will never get tired of listening to you. And of course, you know, Doc Tony, you are my friend. We are good friends. Actually, I can be honest with Doc Tony and he can be honest with me. Kahit meron kaming hindi pinag-aagrihan, we are okay. I love him and I trust him with all my heart. And I will trust him with my heart if I have a heart condition someday. Kasi he's a cardiologist. Parang hindi na-mention ba yun? Na si Doc Tony is a very good cardiologist. Yeah. So Doc Tony, we cannot thank you enough for doing this webinar for us. Of course, we would like to thank the Social and Special Events Committee headed by Danny Reyes, our chairman, our vice chair, Guzzi Herrera, Nelson Petines, Manny de la Cruz, Leia Lagmay, Carol Lavin, si Carol Lavin, asawa po ni NBI Deputy Director Lavin, Maya Lim. Host moderators, of course. Naku, you are the best, guys. And I'm so happy both of you are available this afternoon. Miss Matek Gargantiel and Sir Popo Suanes. Pareho po silang mga professors po yan. Our committee members, James Giab of the Table Tennis Committee, Becca de la Cruz of the Membership Committee, Melvin de Guzman of the Finance Committee, Nelson, of course, Matek. Alam niyo ba si Matek sa fitness and fitness committee natin yan.
Ako naman Attorney Fatness committee. Okay.
Attorney Mike Atanante, who did our welcome remarks, is actually the new IBP president of Quezon City. And he was just elected as the governor, ano bang tawag sa ganon? Governor-elect of the Greater Manila IBP. Ano yan? Star in the making yan, si Attorney Mike Atanante, who is with the contracts and club services. Of course, Attorney Raul Vasquez, who will do the closing remarks. He is with the HR committee. Attorney Raul, I am waiting for your closing remarks. Ayan na po si Attorney Raul ay salutatorian po ng UP Law Class of 1987.
Wow.
Attorney Alan Cabral of the Contracts and Club Services Committee, Charlie Espino of the House Rules Committee, Director Olan Dimaano, I hope you're still there, of our Maintenance and Upkeep Committee, Attorney Vic Marquez of the HRD Committee, Sir Benny Chua, Rules Committee, who is a resident of Ayala Heights. Doc Tony, ang dami po nating taga Ayala Heights na nandito ngayon, kasama natin. And then the organizers, of course, nako, eto hindi naman po natin kasama sa celebrity, but he is always there. Sir Egay Zaragoza, palakpakan natin si Sir Egay. Thank you so much, Sir Egay. You are our contact to Dr. Tony Leachon. If it weren't for you, we would not have Dr. Tony Leachon. We would not have had him for the past four webinars, including this webinar. Maraming salamat sa iyo, Sir Egay. Of course, GMR Tibay, Carol Espino, Ana Mauricio, Suzanne Santos, Bobby Brin, yes, but I call him Bobby Brines. Jeff Sanidoza, Junis Duyungan, Sonia Rivares, Franz Madrelejos. Lahat po sila, they were so busy arranging this, organizing this. Do you know, Doc Tony, that we decided to have this only last Thursday? Last Thursday lang po ito eh. And Sunday, look at how many are with us viewing our seminar and joining us on Zoom and also on Facebook Live. It's very, very successful, of course, because you are our guest speaker. So thank you very much again, Doc Tony, and please prepare your next topic for our next webinar.
You're already booked. Sorry. Nakabook ka na. Sorry.
Attorney Dot, pwede ba ako magsalita muna?
Sure.
Yes po.
Okay.
Sige po.
Ang unang-una, I'd like to thank Attorney Dot and everybody here. Hindi ko na kayo mababati, and thank you for the nice comments. And second, I'd like to apologize for my candid remarks. I know some of you may be, baka masakit for the government na I have a divergent opinion sometimes. But alam niyo, I just care for this country. I love this country. And if my comments are candid and transparent, forgive me. But because that's the way I look at things. And I will be of this service to you if I will not be able to articulate kung ano yung talaga nakikita ko. I have nothing against anybody. Kaya nakita nyo is all scientific. When din pinakita din ni Attorney Dot in our thread na about the ivermectin, hindi ko yan minention dito. And then humingi pa ako ng pahintulot. Ganun ka-respeto ko si Attorney Dot. So, ang ibig sabihin, we might be actually be divergent in our opinions. Kanya-kanya tayo ng vantage point kung saan tayo nanggagaling. But we are Filipinos. And I think, this is the time and the day na kailangan tayo ngayon to look right now to ourselves. At perhaps, hindi pa naman huli ang lahat. There is no wrong time to do the right thing. We have a chance na ma-reverse natin if only we could listen to some opinions. And let the President sana mapanood niya ito. Kasi I respect the President. 4 times ako nakapunta sa palace. And I know my opinion will be different. Kung mapanood niya, kung tanggapin niya, hindi. Si Presidente naman, candid yan. Ibig sabihin, baliwala sa kanya yan. Di ba? But, I'm doing this. Alam ko makakarating kahit saan to. And then may naman magagalit sa aking mga secretaries. No, I respect them. Ang sinasabi ko nga, okay lang naman po ang ginagawa. Kaya lang, we are in crisis ngayon po. And ang dami na po naghihirap. And sabi nga ni Albert Einstein, kung gagawin na natin uli same thing all over again without thinking of another solution, hindi ho tayo makakaahon dito. Yun lang, and from the bottom of my heart and all the people na nandito, nagpapasalamat ako. Again, I'd like to ask forgiveness kung meron ako nasabi that naka-hurt sa inyo. But it's in no way not to disrespect you. I'm just being a truth teller and just a candid and a transparent speaker. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity to add value.
Thank you.
Kasi there are many questions, how can they follow through that with Dr. Tony? So number one, he has a website, drtonylachon.com. But every 9 o'clock po ng gabi sa Facebook, just go to his page. Relentlessly po, since the start of the pandemic, 7 days a week, 9 p.m., he has his talk show for about 30 minutes to 1 hour. So please feel free to join that and you will
Pakidagdag po
really
sa
learn a
habit
lot.
ninyo.
Yes, oo. 9
Opo.
o'clock
Tapos may,
habit.
may, may, may Twitter
9
din po
o'clock habit. Kung
ako.
may 3 o'clock habit, may 9 o'clock
May
habit.
sinasummarize ko po ang news of the day globally and Philippines. And ginagawa ko po yan, talagang sacrifice. Before I present, I'll tell you, 2 hours so ako nagpe-prepare. Akala nyo, hindi.
Extemporaneous lang.
Hindi. Nagpe-prepare ako ng sasabihin. Pero talaga
Correct.
extemporaneous yan. Pero I have to prepare the
Iniisip niya.
materials. I
Yeah,
have to prepare the materials kasi ang hirap po magsalita
correct.
ng hindi mo pinag-aralan kasi mapapahiya ka eh.
True.
At saka i-share siya. Kaya inaaral ko po yan lahat globally and then locally every day. Sana para makakontribute to a lot of people. Yun lang naman. Yun po ang ginagawa ko. And I promise that even after the pandemic, I will do this. Iba namang aspeto, let's say preventing diseases. Yan ang lifelong advocacy ko.
Thank you so much, Doc Tony. We admire you. We trust you. And I always say this, Dr. Tony is a man of integrity. I can say that without blinking. I've known him for the several months that we've been working closely together in Kill COVID. And I am so honored to be with him in Kill COVID. So, ano lang yan, intro dun sa aking mga i-introduce. I think we should also mention them, our Kill COVID members, Dr. Rosel Doval Santos, thank you so much. And Dr. Cho Fernandez. I'm sure meron pa pong ibang mga taga-Kill COVID, but I'm only using an iPad. Konti lang po yung lumalabas. So maraming salamat sa Kill COVID. And Dr. Tony.
Attorney Arlene.
Yes,
Attorney Arlene.
already.
Ako, Attorney Arlene.
Yeah.
Mag-usap tayo one time. I miss you, Attorney Arlene.
I mentioned her earlier, Attorney Arlene, maraming salamat. I actually wanted her to do the introduction of Dr. Tony, but hindi siya naka-respond kaagad. But there will be another time, Attorney Arlene. So back to you, our very good moderators, Matek and Professor Popo.
Okay, now we come to the final part of our webinar. To do the closing, may I call on the managing partner of Vasquez Bretanya and Sibal Pulido Law, a professorial lecturer at the UP Law, UP class salutatorian. Dami naman matalino sa grupong to. Nai-insecure tuloy ako. And a member of the Celebrity Club HR Committee. May I please call on Attorney Raul Vasquez to do the closing remarks. Attorney Raul, please.
Thank you very much, Matt. And thank you, Dr. Tony Leachon, Press.Balasbasgancayco, my cousin. Maybe the reason why I'm suddenly active in celebrity. And Art TY, our GM, and the other members of the Celebrity Club management. Thank you for this very informative, enlightening and comprehensive discussion, not only of governance, but also good citizenship and science as well. The challenges that were posed by Dr. Tony would really be something that would be considered as an eye-opener to most of us. The courtside discussion on how the government, our Philippine government, acted may be a good source of information for the writers of our history. And Doc Tony, I tell you, you should not ask for forgiveness for having a different opinion on how things ought to be done, because this is a democracy. As they say, magkakaedad naman tayo halos lahat. The best test of a democracy is when you are able to defend your contrary opinion in Plaza Miranda. I don't know if any of our present millennials would know what Plaza Miranda means to us. At any rate, his discussion on the linkages, the complexities involving our duties as citizens, the role of every Filipino, because the discussion with respect to the uh, best practices of Israel, New Zealand, Australia, Indonesia, Vietnam, they all share a common denominator, and that is a discipline and the love for the country. The fact that they diligently and religiously do face masks, social distancing, and hand washing. These are all matters that every citizen ought to bear in mind and bring to heart, meaning to say that you should not only do this because you're protecting yourself, but more importantly, because you're protecting the other people around you. And apart from the role of the individuals here, and this is where the social awareness of the kill COVID, the Kidusang contra COVID thing would come in, a non-governmental action of similarly intentioned and move individuals. Doc Tony and my cousin Dot are amongst the pillars of that group. Congratulations for your efforts. You're doing your own share, and it is really high time that all these matters about the duties of citizens should be highlighted by way of the social media and massive education campaign, not only for the government, that the government's duty is not only to do it, but also the duty rests on our shoulders as well. And the emphasis of acknowledging the problem and science-based solutions, these are challenges, these are serious challenges, Dr. Tony, that you threw at the present administration. I think it's not too late really for them to listen and listen good to other suggestions, because no one has a monopoly of solutions and ideas. And finally, the vaccination and the program of its implementation. We should hear it out from the experts, Dr. Tony included, and to ourselves as well. As he mentioned, it is better to have a vaccine that you get vaccinated than no protection at all. If only for that, that is very commonsensical, ladies and gentlemen. And there's really no need for a rocket scientist discussion on that matter. We cannot take our chances. We cannot wait for the best vaccine around, because we may not have that chance. So on that point, again, Doc Tony, thank you very much. Press Dot, thank you very much. And we're looking forward to the next webinar. I'll make sure to be amongst the first to open as I did today. Thank you very much and good day. It is a well spent Sunday afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Raul. Maraming salamat. And before you all go, we will have, may I request everyone to turn on their cameras for the customary photo or picture taking. May humahabol pa para sa picture taking lang. GM, baba mo ng konti kasi hindi ko makita ang full face. Sayang, yon, para poging-pogi. Everyone. Carol, let us know if we've done it. Can I take a cue from you, Carol?
And again, we also acknowledge part of the QCOVID team, no less than NUSEC Eliseo Rio from the ICT, who has also great projects to offer in terms of communication connectivity, and so that even those in the grassroots can have their fair share of information that are minsan available lang sa atin middle upper class. So, NUSEC Rio.
So let us know.
Very much.
Everybody, okay, dahil apat ang frames natin, people will have to learn to hold their smile for the next 10 seconds. Okay, smile. Maraming salamat po, and we will see you next week for our another very interesting webinar on ivermectin. Doc Tony, ha? Nakabook ka na. Wag kang...
Yeah.
I have a very good memory. Okay, so you're booked.
Ang presentation went wrong with Brazil and India.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yan.
Let us know when you're ready. We will announce immediately.
Parang maganda yun. What went wrong, di ba? Ano nangyari
Actually, yes.
bigla? That's a nice analysis. At suddenly, April 15 lang, biglang gumanon ang India. What went wrong? Diba?
Actually, I was reading a couple already in some of you sa New York Times. Meron na silang initial analysis eh.
Ako din babasahin ko yun din.
Pero it's pointing out apparently to be political. But
Yes, kay Prime Minister Modi, nagkaroon siya ng political sorties eh. At the time na hindi niya alam, may variants pa lang kumakalat. Yun ang nangyari. Oo, sayang.
But you'll put the story together. Okay.
I'll put the story
Masarap
together.
Ang sarap pa magkwentuhan, ano?
I know.
Yusek Rio, ha? Yusek Rio, thank you so much.
Yusek Rio, hindi kita nabate. Congratulations
Egay
pala.
Zaragoza.
Egay,
Mga ano yan.
Sorry hindi ko na
Maraming
kayo nabate.
Oo. Sino pa ba? Sino
Attorney
pa nandyan?
Raul. Attorney Raul. Very nice message.
Welcome,
Kaya nga, hindi
Dr.
tayo nagkamali, di ba? Hindi tayo nagkamali.
Ay, hindi.
Attorney Raul, may cousin. Pasensya na, pero mukhang magiging suki ka namin for closing remarks, ha?
Galing, ang galing. Thank you very much po.
As si Professor Jai Aracama.
Yes, Jai Aracama and all the other UP Concert Chorus.
Close ho yan sa sa mga cardiologists kasi siya ho singer ng Philippine Heart Association lagi with
yes.
Dr. Joel Abadilla and Dr. Belosilio. Yeah.
Naku, Doc Tony, kailangan you have to live forever kasi ang dami mong advocacy.
Ma'am,
forever ang goal.
I-unmute nyo na sila para makapagsalita. Ayun
They
si
can
Ma'am
unmute,
Jai. Ma'am Jai.
you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Ma'am Jai. Oo. Attorney Marites Season Go. Wow, you are there. Oh my gosh. It's an honor.
Maraming salamat, Doc Tony. Maraming salamat, Attorney Dot Popo and
thank you,
Ma'am
Jai.
God bless po.
Salamat po.
Attorney Vicky Liwanzon. Wow, she's here with us. Attorney Vicky, thank you for attending. Becky Abraham. Do you remember Becky Abraham? Ha?
Yes,
napakaganda
of
ng boses niya.
Yeah, singer.
Oo. Sila ni Edru Abraham, yung kanyang husband. Oo.
Don't forget the 9 o'clock habit.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Yan ang tawag natin, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock habit. Diba?
I don't know if
Good
Director
night.
Holland is still there. Okay, thank you so much. Ayaw pa
Maraming
mag-alisan.
salamat.
Attorney
Bye-bye
Pat
po.
Foria.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you very much.
Attorney Eileen. Attorney Eileen,
Oo.
love you.
Parang mini reunion dito.
Mga kabatch mo yan.